Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to a live stream where today we're actually here to talk about the latest season of Cobra Kai, which is Cobra Kai season 4, and I've got two awesome guys to discuss along with me. One of them you haven't seen on this channel as of yet, and that is Justin from JJ Lomas Entertainment,
What's
and
happening, y'all?
we've also got Rashad G, who you guys have seen on channel multiple times. So fellas, thank you for joining me, and how are you guys doing today?
JJ, take it.
No, I'm doing good. It's like 63 degrees right here outside Philly, and tomorrow it's a high of 33, and it's about to snow. So I'm just content with doing something like this. Everything else out there is crazy. So
Nice.
And Rashad, how are you, man?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Still black and living. Can't call it same shit, different toilet. So ready to talk Cobra Kai and chop it up. Let's do the damn thing.
Awesome. And Justin, man, I love your outfit as well. Where'd you get that from?
yeah, dude, this is like an El Cheapo one, but I must have got it a few years back for when we volunteered for San Diego Comic-Con. So I was like, I wore it. It looked good. If people got literally everyone who walked by me was like, put him in a body bag and stuff like that. Like they say all the one-liners and shit. I was proud of myself because I had the wig and everything, but the only thing I wasn't shit for was the San Diego Sun. So
okay.
So I went inside. I went inside, and afterwards, I was like, oh shit, oh yeah, this is bad. I was red, dude.
I can imagine, man. You know what it is. So I was telling my partner Emma tonight I was going on the stream with Justin and Rashad, and she's like, "It's Justin, the young Johnny Lawrence guy, the cosplay." I was like, "Yeah, that's him."
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, actually, yeah, she do look like a young Johnny Lawrence from the first movie. Damn.
Yeah, right. I got the wig over here. I was thinking of the wig, but I felt like Johnny's new hairstyle is he's got the bandana and the parted hair in the middle a little bit. So
yeah,
right.
Damn,
although he's not rocking this no more.
Man, it's awesome. It's awesome. So yeah, guys. So basically, we're here to talk about Cobra Kai season 4. Spoilers, but just before we do that, Justin, because it's your first time on my channel, man, and for anyone who doesn't know of you as of yet, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about your channel and what you've got coming up?
Absolutely not.
Rashad?
No, so yeah. So my name's JJ Lomas Entertainment. I prefer Justin. I just put it I figured I'd be slick like JJ Abrams with my middle initials Joseph, Justin, whatever. But Mike popped out. He's probably taking a pee or something. We'll still talk to people.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I do movie reviews, TV reviews. I felt more like doing these live streams because it's more fun to interact with people. Rashad, I haven't heard from you in forever, man, on a live stream. It's been a minute.
Has it?
I think
as far as your live stream?
Yeah, live streams in general. Was it Perez when we talked about Falcon and Winter Soldier? I think Mandalorian.
I think it was Mandalorian season 2. Yeah, I just went live. Let's see, I just went live about probably a week or so ago, something like that. Yeah, actually, I think Perez was supposed to be on this live, but I think he's jacked up too. He's got. Some,
I saw him. I saw him do his Cobra Kai thing. I was watching a little bit of it, but yeah, he was out of it. He's like,
yeah. I mean, I'm kind of a little out of it myself, so I'm I'm a little bit out of it, but I'm trying to keep it together. But I'll be all right though.
Yeah, but other than that, I play some video games to throw some filler on my my YouTube channel, and every once in a while I mix it up, but that's about it. So Rashad, I'll throw it over to you. What do you do, man?
All right, so yeah, I'm Rashad G with Rashad G Reviews. So as you may know, I talk movies, shows. Sometimes I do little cooking videos while I'm watching the movie, and I just have a new series called You Ain't Shit. So I take a character from a movie that we're supposed to like, but I break down why that character is actually a villain. So excited about those. Please check those out. So,
yeah, that sounds awesome.
Oh right. yeah. Listen, you'd be surprised what you come up with when you're drinking. So I was just happened to be on tequila one night, and I said, you know what, Obi-Wan Kenobi ain't shit. He's really a villain. And then the gears went to turning, and I just really watched the movies and broke them down. I said, yes, Obi-Wan was a villain in Star Wars. So yeah, I do stuff like that now. And other than that, that's about it. Sometimes I get into the political arena, which I'm not really into politics, but I like to make fun of certain politicians.
Oh yeah, it's pretty easy too.
It's fun. It's fun, especially when their followers come after you in the comments and try to talk to you like you're stupid. And I let them go ahead. I say, you know what? I'll blow you a kiss, man. I love you too. Yeah,
so
that's about it.
No, awesome. So just a quick test. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. You look good now. You look a little bit clearer than before, too.
All right, awesome. So basically what happened is before we went live, I was talking to Justin and my connection went out for whatever reason. And then it just went out again. So I've now switched to my mobile. So that's why it looks maybe a little bit different. Okay. But yeah, as you guys were saying, I heard about like Justin, what you guys do, and Rashad, obviously about yourself and You Ain't Shit series, which is awesome. So yeah, no fellas, so awesome introductions. And yeah, guys, if you haven't checked out Justin or Rashad's channel as of yet, the links to their channels is also in the description box below. So definitely go subscribe to them. Also, just tell them that you listen to this live stream and go check out their content as well. And fellas, are you ready to chop this up into every episode of Cobra Kai season 4?
Yeah, I was ready. I was ready since I finished it last night at like 2 a.m. or this morning at 2 a.m. Sorry.
Damn.
Sweet.
Well, awesome. So yeah, so what we'll do is I've got a couple of notes here. So we're going to go like episode by episode. We'll talk a little bit about our general thoughts on that episode, maybe what we liked the best, what we didn't like the best about it, and I can't wait to talk about episode 9 where we get the performance of the All Valley tournament. So that's coming up.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so let's start with episode 1 of Cobra Kai season 4. So just before we do that, what led into this first episode was obviously the aftermath of season 3 ending. Very quickly, Justin, we'll go to you first and we'll go down to Rashad. What did you think of the Cobra Kai season 3 ending, and what was your feelings going into kind of season 4?
So season 3, I haven't rewatched seasons 2 and 3 of Cobra Kai at all. I rewatched season 1 because I watched it with other people back in the day because I was just like, yo, this is so good. You gotta watch this. But season 3, I've like, even before all the promotionals, we all knew the person on the phone was Terry Silver because he had all the flashbacks and stuff like that. Right. I loved season 3. The setup was good. We were going to get that silly, goofy, but serious at the same time mix of karate tactics between Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso. We thought that was coming. And obviously in this season it did. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But yeah, I was hyped either way. Like they left a lot of good things open-ended.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think you put that kind of nail in the head, really, like, let it open-ended. I think we definitely thought it was Terry Silver. Rashad, did you think anything different?
No, I love season 3. It's actually one of my favorites. And the way it ended, like everybody else, when I got goosebumps, I couldn't wait for season 4. And I think my expectations probably got a little bit too high for my own good because the first time I watched 4, I was like, I don't want to say I was let down, but I just feel like I didn't really get what I expected. That's because the bar was raised so high, right. For me personally. But yeah, 3 ended on such a great note, and everything from the Okinawa stuff to Johnny and Daniel teaming up, which I thought we would never see. You know what I mean? So season 1 is always going to be my favorite just because it was just the one that kicked everything off. But to me, season 3 is a very close second. But I mean, that's right. I love all of them though. Right. But those are my 2 personal favorites.
No, man, sorry, Justin.
I was just gonna say real quick because Rashad reminded me of something. I think the end of season 3, I was so freaking happy because Daniel LaRusso finally looked badass for once to me. Because he looks decent in the earlier seasons, but like finally seeing him doing the pressure point shit and stuff like that, and actually was just like, you came to my house, you son of a bitch. Like he was letting loose with us. Like, all right, okay. Yeah. Like, I'm not fearing Daniel, but I was just like, I can finally tell he's like serious and pissed.
Well, for once, he looks like Miyagi's #1 student instead of Miyagi's #1 student that still gets his ass kicked in every movie.
Yeah,
he had a form of legitimacy a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
No, fellas, I've got to agree. So, Rashad, I think I've got to agree with you that season 1's my favorite, and especially probably more so for you because you mentioned in the stream what we and you were on Perez's channel for a couple of weeks back, where you said that you actually watched this on YouTube Red when it premiered back in the day. Obviously, I checked it out when it first came to Netflix. So and I know you watched it with
RedTube,
right? And we've got a couple of comments in here. So we've got Anthony Perez. He's joined the house. So what's up, man? Thanks for joining.
Perez, what's good,
hey, buddy?
He also loves the outfit from Justin as well, which is awesome. And our boy Darnell, he's in here. He said, "What's up, guys? Great to see you all."
And he also said, "Tell Rashad what's up, and remember to stop falling asleep in movies." So,
listen, the way I feel now, I fall asleep on damn near anything. So the second I lay down, I'm done.
Hell yeah. But no, like, so basically, like what you guys are saying, I think I've kind of got to agree. So season 3 kind of give us like all this hype for all of us, respectively, being like, right, this next season, you know, shit's about to go down. Johnny and Daniel's going to team up for the first time ever in any movie or even the previous seasons. And then we've also got them linking into the other Karate Kid movies and then starting to lean into Karate Kid 3, which we've kind of discussed hasn't maybe been the best installment in the franchise besides the Hilary Swank one, which we'll get to. But no, that's awesome to sum that up. So we'll go dive straight in. So episode 1 is titled Let's Begin. And a lot of stuff happens in this episode. We finally get a little bit of a team of Danny and Johnny, how they're going to kind of coexist. We also find a little bit about Terry Silver and what he's been up to in the last 30 years and what's kind of new in his life. And we also get a couple of other things as well about Robbie and how he's kind of been on the fence of joining Cobra Kai at the end of season 3 and then going into season 4. So, Rashad, what was your kind of general thoughts on the first episode?
First episode, the way they introduced Terry Silver, I thought was brilliant. That's how you introduce a villain. Unlike, I'm gonna probably get some shit for this. Unlike Hawkeye, the way they introduced Kingpin, I'm not gonna go there. But it wasn't exactly the best introduction to a badass fucking character. And even though Terry Silver's not the Terry that we know of, he just has that presence where you know underneath the surface is a devil. Okay, this guy is the devil. So I loved how they introduced him. And Robbie, let me tell you, Robbie from the jump, I didn't mind him. And he was always my least favorite character throughout this show because like everything bad that happens is either because of him or Sam. But this time around, like Robbie just has more like a maturity about him. Like he just has more of a, probably it's the haircut or something. I don't know. But I said, well, Robbie looks kind of badass this season. You know what I mean? So, yeah, first episode was a good intro. I did predict that Daniel and Johnny from the jump was not going to get along. These two are like oil and water. So they have to collaborate for the greater good. But we know Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang do not mix. So I predicted that, yeah, they were going to have problems immediately.
Right. Yeah, I've kind of got to agree. And what about you, Justin? What's your thoughts on Robbie?
So like Robbie, I think he's a cool dude. I mean, I like the actor Tanner Buchanan, I think his name is. Like he's a cool guy. Like I've seen him in a bunch of stuff before, but obviously the beginning of this season, he is with Cobra Kai, but he feels like conflicted to me, even in the earlier episodes of the season. But to go on the rest of the episode, I mean, it's like Rashad was saying. Terry Silver got a great intro. I think it's funny that like they're chilling at the best thing was Martin Cove just like roasting that hipster dude at the party.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is fantastic. I love that whole interaction.
Yeah. No, I've got to agree. Yes, I think we're all kind of in agreement about Terry Silver because especially since Karate Kid 3, we haven't seen him since then. We don't know what happened with him and Kreese if they had a fallen out after them turns events. We still don't know what happened with Mike Barnes. Have you just gotten the next plane home? There's kind of a couple of left like lingering questions as such. And yeah, just now I've got to agree, man. I love when Kreese was roasting that dude at the party, and Terry Silver was getting called Terrence as well. I thought that was good.
They were offering him like skewers or some shit like that, like whatever vegetables or like health food was on. He's just like, I'll pass.
And also, I like how they addressed the absurdity of 3. How this guy who was a mogul, you know what I'm saying, he has businesses and he stops everything he's doing to torture a teenager for a fucking karate tournament. Like it just sounds stupid even saying it. So I'm glad they addressed that because, you know, it's easy to go back and watch that movie and be like, this is so stupid. But the writers acknowledged that and put that in there. So now, even though it still sounds absurd, but, you know, you just go with it. Like, yeah, he was high on coke the whole time. It was the 80s. In the 80s, everybody was on something, you know.
Did any of you guys grab that the 4K collection that came out?
No, not yet.
I was thinking about it. I think it's like weird they didn't include 4. I get it, but yeah, whatever.
Well, I think the interesting thing about that 4K collection, Justin, that you mentioned it, I think when throughout the season goes, which we'll get to, they do like quite a lot of flashbacks at points, and I felt like those flashbacks were like the 4K versions, like of those movies.
Yeah.
And I felt like And I felt like that added in like maybe a deleted scene or two as well throughout the season of those 4Ks, because I know each movie I think had deleted scenes as well on the 4K editions.
They could have. It's very plausible because like I watched, like they had that show, The Crisis on Infinite Earths with CW, and they were showing a flashback of 90s Flash with I forget his name, but like the old 90s Flash. But they showed his clips, and they were in like 1080p, like upscale quality. And the show's only been released on DVD. It's one season. It's only on DVD.
Wow.
So I was just like, yeah. So they obviously have the tools to do that.
Right.
Nice.
Right. No, sure. And I mean, just to kind of cap off like the Terry Silver part of episode 1, after Kreese goes to see him and he's like, right, yeah, I'm not going to join Cobra Kai, or he's kind of moved on with life. We see at the end of the episode of Terry Silver where he kicks that wine bottle off the stacked barrel, I think it was on. For me, I thought that was awesome. It shows that the guy still got it. We haven't got a terrible Kreese stunt double, but for Terry Silver this season.
Well, that guy's actually he's legit. Thomas Ian Griffith, like he's legit, man. Back in the day, he was a knockoff Steven Seagal. So after Karate Kid 3, I think he had like one action movie or maybe two, like straight to DVD, but his career kind of fizzled out because we should
watch that shit and roast it live.
Yeah, hey, why not, man? Why not? But I mean, actually, I've never seen it. I just, after Karate Kid 3, I was like, oh, he's a knockoff Steven Seagal. I didn't. But listen, he's the only one in the Karate Kid universe that I know of that has their own, but besides Hawk, has his own theme. Like when that music kicks in, that's Terry Silver's theme. And besides Hawk, I don't think nobody else has their own theme song.
Yeah.
Dude is 6'5" too. Like he's a beast.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Yeah. He's legit.
You could tell. I think at the series, I don't know about you guys, but I felt like at times, because he's so tall, they had the camera angle, so it looked like Kreese wasn't as small as he was and stuff, or as tall as he was.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to agree with Rashad as well. I think with him actually knowing karate, it adds more credibility to his own character. Because you haven't got a stunt double, you can actually have the camera face on like how we've got ours right now, and you can actually do the moves. Whereas Kreese in that last battle in season 3, all he sees the back of his head every single time. So
and I don't know if this stood out to you or not, but my daughter noticed. She was like, "Wait a minute, aren't they supposed to be around the same age? Kreese and Terry Silver?" But she was like, "Terry Silver looks a lot younger than him." I said, "Yeah, because he is. He's actually 4 months younger than Ralph Macchio."
Yeah,
but they got him to be the same age, but you can clearly see the age difference. Like, there's no way he's the same age as Kreese.
Yeah, because I thought, obviously, like I said, Mike, not to dip into other episodes, but like later in the series, like the second I finally saw Terry like smile and shit, I was just like, bro, it's the same face. Like he looked older, he got the hair, but once he was just like that maniacal smile, it's like, yo,
that's
his face didn't change. Yeah.
Right. No, definitely. And also talking about episode 1 as well. So we've got in this episode where, as Rashad was mentioning, he knew there was going to be tension between Danny and Johnny. We start getting their techniques at the beginning, which was basically like right at the end of season 3. I don't know if they filmed that clip like at that time, when like Johnny comes into the back garden as such of Miyagi-Do and Daniel's like, oh, right, well, here he is kind of thing. I love the bit in this episode where Daniel is doing the wax on, wax off. And then Johnny's got his students, but actually just cleaning his car. And he's changing your car.
No, Johnny's car looked like no offense to anyone who smokes. Johnny's car looked like every girl I know who smoked. Like there's like 18 water bottles in the back of her seat. There's like candy wrappers. There's clothes. There's like wigs and shit like that. All toys.
Right. No, definitely. And one other thing I actually really enjoyed about this episode, and then I'm going to ask you guys if you had a favorite part of it as well, is I really liked, and I was really interested in how they were going to kind of build Hawk this season, because Hawk's kind of been one of my favorite characters, and especially in the last season, it was it was that epic moment when Quiver was playing, and he turns back to Miyagi as such, and away from Cobra Kai, and I was interested to see like how every of the students were going to take him in. Because of all the shit that he's put them through as well. And not just Dimitri, but all of them. And then, in this, in the first episode, they kind of teased being like, well, you did betray us. You're now just trying to act the good guy as such. And I just thought that was an interesting development. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, it was. I felt bad for Hawk, man. I did because, every time I saw him this season, I kept thinking, Cobra Kai's gonna get him. I don't know what they're gonna do to him, but I just knew that they were gonna get Hawk. And then so now it's like in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, Cobra Kai's gonna get him. But then when Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang didn't embrace him, I said, damn, this kid has nobody, man. I'm like, damn, Hawk. I mean, I know you did some fucked up things, but you know, sometimes it can't bygones ever bygones. I don't know. But yeah, I kind of felt bad for the guy.
Yeah. No, definitely. President in the season need the bonsai tree store.
He did mention it.
Jesus. Perez is being funny.
Right.
You being funny. It's all right.
I think Hawk did have an interesting arc because, like Rashad was saying, like he goes to Miyagi-Do. I forget if it was in the first or second or third episode. Obviously, like the earlier ones are a little bit of a blur for his character arc for me. But like,
yeah,
he's going in and like the kids still like all the other Miyagi-Dos, like they don't like him. They don't trust him. Like they don't think he's shit. Like he walks into the little meditation room, even though the kids try to spar in it and shit and break the door. But he goes in there and it's like, what are you doing in here? Like, put that down. Like, don't touch that. Like they're already like on the fence about this dude.
Mm-hmm.
I did get it spoiled though, because I remember seeing a picture on Instagram with Jacob Bertrand and he had like a shaved head. I was like, oh, something's gonna happen, I guess.
Oh wow.
Oh,
by the way, that was the funniest part of the episode where he's trying to meditate, and the whole time he's into his Zen mode, you hear, "Come on, kick him in the face! Don't be a pussy." And Neil kept looking like, "Okay, don't hit him in the balls. What's wrong with you?"
Right.
I'm like, Johnny's off the chain.
So recap me on episode 2, Mike.
yeah. So, well, have you guys got any other kind of last thoughts on episode 1 before we move on?
No, not really. It was a good kickoff to the season.
Yeah, I felt like it was a strong start to the season, especially with how season 3 ended and that kind of tension of like stakes of the All Valley tournament. So no, I've got to agree. So episode 2, guys, is called First Learn Stand. We get an introduction to Kenny and him on Dungeon Lord, and this is where we get brand new character into the season with Kenny and Dungeon Lord. We also get a little bit about Anthony LaRusso as well in this one. We also get the start of Amanda talking to Tori storyline, which we're going to definitely get to. And in this episode as well, we also get about Johnny learned about Miyagi teachings, and then we get the montage where Daniel LaRusso's learning Johnny's style of karate as well. So we've got quite a few stuff to cover.
That was cool.
So what I'd like to touch on first is Anthony LaRusso. So I don't know about you guys, but like throughout this whole show, he's basically been an extra in the first 3 seasons. He's been in the background in like odd scenes, or he's been told to take him and his game off to like up to his room or whatever. And in this season, they kind of bring him into. It kind of felt like a reset. I don't know about you guys. I felt like a reset as in terms of like
reboot,
like the first ever Karate Kid or the first ever time with like Miguel in Cobra Kai season 1. It felt like they kind of started that off again, but with Kenny.
Yeah, it's the same actor. Yeah, he just went through puberty. Yeah.
He was a little chubby. I remember in like season 1 and 2 and shit like that.
Yeah, puberty hit him hard, man.
I'm not gonna lie, that was me because like, so I repeated 7th grade. So like 7th grade year 2 and 8th grade, like I was a little fat, and then for some reason I sprouted like 6 inches over the summer.
Oh wow! that awkward phase where you're like, oh hey, came home my balance.
All right.
Anthony LaRusso, let me tell you something. There is no circumstance at all where I would ever root for that kid. That kid has been a dick since the beginning. Okay, so even though his heart was small, he was such a bratty little kid. So I guess they're trying to, like you said, do a soft reboot to the Karate Kid, where I guess now he has to learn Miyagi-Do because Kenny beat the shit out of him. I know we're gonna get to that later, but I said no, he needed the shit kicked out of him. This dude was a dick, and just the thought of him crying to his dad now, Dad, can you teach me karate now? No, I don't want him to learn karate. I want him to get his ass kicked throughout the duration of this show. I know. I never liked him, and I will never like Anthony LaRusso.
Yeah, I feel that. Like at first when they were showing that episode, and I think in episode 2, is that the same episode where the park meetup is, or is that 3? I'm sorry.
I think that
might be 3. Yeah, that might be 3.
Okay, so I mean, episode 2, you get introduced. When I first started the episode, I had to like hit X on my PlayStation controller. I was like, "Is this Cobra Kai?" Because they were showing Kenny playing like the knockoff Minecraft or whatever, and I was like, "What is this?" Like, I just had no clue like where it was going at first, but yeah, I'm with Rashad. Anthony LaRusso's a twerp. I don't give a shit about that kid.
Yeah.
He can dab somewhere in the corner for all I care. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fortnite
and Kenny, and Kenny is a likable character, but sometimes he was kind of getting on my nerves because he was like frantic all the time. Every time you see him, he was, big bug eyes and shit like, oh no, something's coming for me. I'm like, dude, quit being so scary. Damn.
Yeah.
He reminded me of LaRusso and Karate Kid 3.
A little hyper. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, not as annoying, but yeah, I can see the comparison. Yeah.
I was waiting for it to play out because like I didn't know where they're going with this character, but like we've already had like the kid who got bullied and like he's going to be trained now to be defending himself and become a badass. I was just like, this is like the 6th time I've seen this story arc. I wonder what they're going to do after episode 2, but like in that moment in episode 2, like that's the thought that was running through my head. I was like, Like obviously I still like Kenny better than Anthony, but I was just like,
yeah, here we go again.
Yeah.
Even that whole chase, like that was ripped right out of 1 where they were chasing him in I think this is the same episode.
He climbed over the fence and shit too. Yeah.
But those kids chasing him was so unathletic, they had to like climb through there because they can barely run. If you see him, Anthony, he's running, but his legs are not really moving.
That's the thing. I feel like that is today's society because all the kids are glued to screens and shit like that. They're like either at home playing video games, doing online gaming. I mean, especially with everything going on in the world right now, with like less hangouts in person, but like no one's just like, yo, man, like this person, and that person are going to be at the park tonight. Like you can come, like, and then you would go to the park and like 20 people would be there, Like,
that's true.
These kids are like 35-year-old men now, physically.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You can see the age. You can see how they definitely look older. Especially Miguel. Like Miguel, I'm like he was a little pudgy around the face. I mean, he's not fat, but you can tell he's getting that grown man look now.
Yeah. He like you were saying, he didn't get fat. He just kind of filled out finally because he was skinny. He was lanky earlier on. Like they got him to train a little bit. Obviously, the more main actors besides the background ones will give him muscles and shit like that.
Right.
I mean, obviously, if I was in Cobra Kai, I'd work out too. But yeah, you can see I don't really have that much shit either. So
well, let me tell you something. In Cobra Kai verse, okay, you can know absolutely nothing about karate and learn and be a master in like a week. By about 2 weeks, you'll be cutting somersault flips and high spin kicks and shit, Haryukens within 2 weeks of training.
Right.
Like they can take anybody and just make them a master within like a month. That's
Cobra Kai does have some rigorous ass training though. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
True. No, but yeah, I got to agree with you guys about Kenny. Like I felt like at times like he was a likable guy, but then like my partner Emma was the one when we were watching him. She's like, this is a rip off of the first Karate Kid movie. They're doing the exact same thing, but yet again. And yeah, this is also the scene and episode where he's in the park and they chase him through the park with his cosplay outfit and stuff like that. In this season, I didn't really care about this girl interest he was interested in either. I felt like they're trying to do like another Ali storyline.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't need that. To be honest, I've already seen that. We got a conclusion in season 3 of that. So yeah, I didn't feel like it was needed. And also, Perez has said it here. So like all new characters except Kenny, he felt like they were kind of just utility characters. He said like, he feels like Kenny was just there to give Robbie a different outlook on things as well.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll talk about that a little later, but I think I'll save my thoughts for the end about that. But as of now, Kenny was just like, I didn't hate his character. I didn't love it yet, but like, I mean, I got bullied in 7th grade and stuff like that. I mean, look at me. I have like half eyebrows and I got a bunch of other like weird things going on. So yeah, I got made fun of and shit.
Nah, man. Like, no. So yeah, like, I think we can all relate to that to a degree for sure. And one thing I want to touch on. So we'll touch on Kenny later on because we've got a lot more to talk about him. But one thing for me that like was really interesting at the beginning was when Amanda went to go talk to Tori, and I was wondering at the time, I was like, well, like shit, like what is she gonna do, or has she got kind of something to hold against Tori is in terms of like the repercussions of the previous seasons? But instead, she gets Tori fired from a job.
Yeah.
I just think that was, I mean, it was interesting in terms of like, oh wow, she tried to go there to settle something, but she actually gets fired from a job, so there's more resentment, maybe going into the final fight, like a slow, more of a build up, and such. But and after that scene, I was just like, I don't really care about this storyline.
Right. Is that so? I guess I could ask everyone's opinions. Like, I don't think the mom got Tori fired. Like, I think like obviously the mom was getting under Tori's skin, but she was still defending her daughter. I think Tori's just anger problem got to her where she lashed out and be like, I don't care about your soup, like da 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 da, like shut up, like she like through that, like she snapped. Like I think maybe like Mama LaRusso like pushed her a little bit, but like at the end of the day, I feel like Tori got herself fired on that one.
Yeah, I can agree with that to a certain extent because obviously there was other incidents for the manager to react the way he did, and at first I felt some type of way about Amanda for doing that. Like, damn, you go to this girl's job and get her fired. But I understand she was just a mama bear protecting a cub. She felt like I mean, hell, if my daughter got like fucking Freddy Kruegered and beat the shit out of you, bring it to my house and fight, like I probably would have reacted the same way, probably even worse. You know what I mean? So. I understand her for doing that, but I did feel for Tori because at the end of the day, Amanda and Sam, like they're okay financially. They have like no worries, and she's literally supporting her whole family. So that's why majority, like, I just was like, damn, you got the girl fired, man. Now how the fuck is she gonna take care of her family? That was my first reaction. But that's it. When you did fuck up her daughter and you did break into her house, so you kind of had that coming to you.
Yeah. No, I've got to agree, yeah. And then, like, later on, we start getting into a bit, just following on with that storyline, we then get into where Tori and she talks to Kreese, and she tells Kreese, well, look, she got confronted by Mrs. LaRusso. And I don't know about you, but one thing I loved about season 3 was when Amanda went into Cobra Kai and she met with Kreese and pretty much just bitch slapped his face, And I thought that was awesome, that confrontation. But I also really liked the supermarket scene with them as well. And I felt like that confrontation that they were having there was kind of setting up the animosity that they both had for each other. But I felt like after that scene, they didn't really have another interaction. I think that was maybe a missed opportunity.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, you're right. They didn't interact after that. I'm sorry, JJ. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say shout out to Kreese because Honey Crisp is my favorite apple too.
Oh shit! Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, so they never went back to that, did they? The whole Kreese and Amanda thing.
Nah, and she never even told. I mean, I know she was kind of keeping the whole Tori thing a secret, but even like later on when Daniel and Sam finds out that they've been talking, she didn't even once go like, "Well, Kreese kind of came and stalked me in the supermarket," Right. It wasn't referenced, and I felt that would have maybe given a bit more anger for LaRusso towards Kreese yet again, to be like, well, messing with his wife, that shit kind of doesn't stand, I guess,
Well, let me ask y'all a question now. So I know that when it comes down to it, you never want to see yourself as the bad guy, but technically speaking, Sam struck first with Tori. If you go back to season 2, Tori she wasn't thinking about Sam, she wasn't bothering Sam. Sam was the one that confronted her and said, hey, you stole my mom's purse. And then on top of that, she actually physically tried to grab her. That's when Tori pushed her over the table and knocked everything over. So my question is, if Amanda knew that Sam started all this shit, do you think she would feel differently? Because, like, damn, you did start with this girl. If you didn't fuck with her, she wouldn't have fucked with you.
I
think she would have had a different approach if she had that information?
I think so. Because, like, if she knew that Sam started the whole beef with Tori, not the other way around, I think she'd be more angry at Sam and be like, well, why have you teased that poor girl who just showed up at the country club at the time? Right. But instead, obviously, as you've said, like, her mindset's a bit deluded because she's thinking, well, Tori started this for no reason. And that's why she's got this hate towards Tori. And she's like, don't hurt my daughter. Or then when we get to the All Valley tournament, don't hurt her,
we're going to get to that.
I think so. Justin, what about you?
So you're just talking about, like, how I felt with the whole Tori thing going on? Is that where you're getting at?
Yeah, pretty much would Amanda have acted differently? Would Amanda had acted differently if she knew like how the whole thing started?
Maybe. I feel a little conflicted on that because it's the motherly instinct either way. Like you guys were saying, like she was coming for Kreese, like obviously. but there's definitely some tension there. There's just, I think that's something where it's also going to be like a long-lasting debate, and like no one's right. But I like you were saying, I thought the supermarket scene was brilliant, and I think even though Amanda, that's the mom's name, right? Amanda, yeah. I mean, side note, she can get it, but Amanda LaRusso, she was MILF. Yeah, definitely. She was standing up the crease, and I just like how you have Amanda LaRusso, like she wouldn't get that hostile until there was like no other options, and she's like the whole time she's just like, I'm tired of the shit. I want it to end. As long as this tournament is over and it means an end all the karate craziness, she's fine. Because I mean, at first you see her thinking about the whole feud. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. She still feels that deep down, but at the same time, she's always going to be in Daniel's corner, but she just wants it to be over.
Yeah, and I think she has a connection with Tori too, which I don't think they got to that this episode, but she sees a lot of herself in Tori because she was given the whole backstory about how she had a criminal background as well.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. So she kind of has like this motherly thing for Tori now, and I think in a lot of ways Tori does see Amanda as a mother figure because her own mother is, mentally, she has, mental illness. So she has no mother figure in her life. Even her auntie comes in and, fucks with her. So yeah, I think, both ways, like she looks at Amanda as a mother and Amanda as her as a daughter, but Sam is the one that messes everything up, where they can never have that bond because of her.
Right. No,
damn LaRussos.
Yeah, no. There's always some baggage with them, isn't it?
Yeah, with Johnny calling you LaRussos, you're all rotten to the core.
Right. Well, we've also got a couple of things to talk about in this episode, and then we'll move on to episode 3. So another part in this episode that I thought was really cool is because in the first episode, Robbie's a little bit like a lodger at the Cobra Kai dojo. He's just staying in the back. But then in this episode, they walk in and he's got his gi on, and he's like, well, look, if any of you can land a hit on me, then I'll leave.
Yeah.
And I felt like was setting up for kind of like his character being like, well, look, you don't mess with this guy, otherwise he's going to mess you up. But I also like that when he said that, Kyler straight away went, well, okay. And he went straight in for the punch. He didn't hesitate. He's like, okay.
That's such a millennial name too, Kyler.
Yeah. Did you guys enjoy that scene?
Good.
Yeah. No, I thought it was cool because like he's just like, respect me, land a hit. Like he walked in with that energy that he's just like, all right, like they're not here. Like he like took control, and he knew out of everyone there. I mean, obviously Tori's a great fighter, but like out of everyone there, he was the alpha.
Right.
Yeah, and I like how he came in there. He didn't come in there cocky or arrogant. Like he just has this shortness about himself. Like, look, if you land a hit, then I'll leave. But it wasn't like he wasn't cocky with it. It was like, I just know what I'm capable of, and that was such a badass scene.
Yeah,
that was I'm like, Robbie. Okay, Robbie is definitely earned my respect now, man. This guy is he's the real deal. Even though Tori got him with that little sucker kick to the face. I said, well,
yeah, I felt like Robbie was like the person you want in your dojo, especially like towards the end of the episode where he's teaching the Cobra Kai students the Miyagi-Do moves, and he's like teaching them.
That was a bitch move.
Yeah, it was definitely a dick move, but I think it was setting up for him being like, well, look, Cobra Kai is going to have the huge advantage because they're not knowing that he's doing that, but then also they know offense, but they now know some defense. And I felt that was like really well done. But other than Robbie teaching the class, we also have in this episode, one of my favorite bits is where Johnny and Daniel are learning each other's techniques. And Johnny's like, well, why am I painting the fence for? And then Daniel goes, like smashes the beer bottle. I was surprised there was no blood in his hand, by the way.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's
glass, but...
breakaway glass. You could tell, like,
yeah.
The second anything happens like that, like if you go for a punch or if you go for a chop, and the second before it happens, the camera cuts. You can tell like they swapped it out for a prop or something like that, breakaway glass or tempered glass or whatever.
Right.
That was a callback to the first movie, if you remember, when Miyagi and Daniel went to the beach, and there were some guys hanging out by Miyagi's truck with some beer bottles, and Mr. Miyagi asked him to move, and he said, "Why don't you move it yourself?" He said some kind of racist thing to him, and Miyagi just yay and broke the bottle.
Ooh, yeah, I don't remember that. Damn.
Yeah.
Maybe
Like
I have to rewatch that shit.
Yeah, and Daniel had the same reaction as Johnny. He was like, "How did you do that? How'd you do that?" And Miyagi said, "Don't know. First time."
Right.
But yeah, that was definitely a callback to the first movie. Yeah. That was cool as shit to see. Yeah, to see Johnny learn Miyagi-Do, because Daniel pretty much had to tell him, like, look, Miyagi-Do saved your ass, okay? Because if it wasn't for Miyagi, Kreese would have choked you out. So put some respect on his name. And, Johnny got right in line and went to painting the fence. And shit, there were times where Johnny looked like he had better form than Daniel did as far as, the karate stances and stuff. I said, okay, check Johnny out, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Daniel on the other end, I thought his bit was funny because Daniel is not a very masculine dude. Let's be honest. Like, Daniel doesn't look like he could punch his way out of a wet paper bag. So seeing him doing push-ups and climbing the chain and walking over the hot coals was hilarious to me. I was dying laughing at that scene.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. Like I thought it kind of gave me, I don't know about you guys, but I felt like kind of like a bit reminiscent vibes of Karate Kid 3 when Silver's like, well, you're not going to do this, and then he starts punching the boards with his knuckles and getting bleeding. It kind of felt a bit like that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish what they would do is, obviously I'm not asking for a dude to be ripped or anything, but like I wish they would just have him work out like a little bit and show like his arm, just something. Like ask Ralph Macchio to put on like a tiny bit of weight, just like something to make him look a little bit more big. It's hard, like me, like look at how small my wrists are. Like I got tiny ass wrists, but it's still like do something to give him more of like a presence on screen, because it's like it's like Topher Grace being Venom. Like it's just like he's a lanky dude, he's skinny. Like could have at least worked out or done something. Not asking him, like I said, not asking him to be ripped, but it's just like at least like you've lifted one weight in the past month, like
Well, I guess that's the whole Miyagi approach, because Miyagi, if you look at him in the movies, Miyagi just looks like a guy that just drinks heavily, but he knows kung fu. Like Miyagi had like no muscle at all. He could beat everybody. Like he beat Kreese and Silver at the same time.
That's
Miyagi,
fair,
The difference is Miyagi showed up when he needed to show up. LaRusso can't show up at all.
Facts. Nah, definitely.
And there's also two other things we need to touch on before we move on, because these are two important bits. So the next one is after Johnny and Daniel learn each other's tactics and they kind of bond a little bit, they go to the ice hockey game. And I love that part because there's kind of a callback to the Cobra Kai video game. I don't know if any of you guys played that. But so Justin's played it, so I think he knows what I'm talking about.
Nice.
But yeah, it was kind of like a callback to that, and I loved how like Johnny left Daniel on his own, and LaRusso actually beat some people up as well. I was shocked, to be honest.
Yeah. Nah, definitely. You get to see Daniel finally kick ass for the first time. I mean, well, not the first time, but because we're so used to seeing him in a long time. Yeah, because we're so used to seeing him get his ass handed to him until the end. So now we get to see him take on multiple goons at one time. Like, okay, now this is, Miyagi's teaching coming to fruition,
Yeah, he's taken, besides the end fight with Kreese, I'd like, this is also like one of the earlier instances where Daniel finally just goes ahead and takes control of a situation instead of waiting to take control of it, like he's striking first from a point of view.
Definitely. Yeah, he was definitely doing the eagle thing there. Yeah. Because if that was Miyagi-Do, then I don't think it would have been as badass as it was, but he was definitely using eagle fin karate there.
Oh, thanks, Sydney. I just saw that.
Yeah. Sydney loved the uniform.
Nice.
But no, definitely. And I've got to agree. Yeah, I think it was definitely a badass one for him. And I definitely think like he was starting to take Johnny's teaching a bit on board. And then the final thing we've got to mention about this episode is Kenny. We find out that his dad's in the military. So which could lead to maybe some interesting things about Kreese, whether he knew about the legacy Kreese left, etc. But we also learn that Sean is his brother from season 3, who had the interaction with Robbie in the prison.
I did like that, yeah.
That was like one of those like, oh shit, like kind of reveals like, yo, that's his brother. Oh snap.
That was
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, true. I like that as well. The only thing I was a little bit disappointed by though is that throughout the season, at no point did he call his brother, again, even on the phone, to say, look, I've learned a bit of Cobra Kai, thanks to your suggestion with Robbie, or I'm still getting picked on, what would you recommend, kind of thing. we only see Sean in that one episode. That's kind of it. It was a bit of a missed moment, I think, for me.
Oh yeah, well, I can see that. I mean, we're definitely going to see him again next season. I think Sean's going to play a bigger role next season. Which I'm like, well, because I'm pretty sure when Sean gets out, he's going to be definitely, Team Cobra Kai. And Robbie, on the other hand, is not so much Team Cobra Kai. So how is that going to work? Because, they had that respect for each other. But now that Robbie's pretty much got one foot out the door, how's that going to work out? But, I agree. I definitely think we should have got a little bit more Sean this season. I guess they just did that kind of as fan service. Like, hey, by the way, remember this guy? Yeah, he's his brother. And they just, put him away from that.
I remember.
Right. Right. No, definitely. Well, do you guys have any more thoughts on the second episode before we move on to the next?
I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I think we covered everything. Like you said, Sean was his brother in prison, right? That was his name?
Sean, yeah.
I think we'll talk about it in a little bit, but I think there's a certain plot element where I think they did it right in the episode 2 because there's a certain thing that's mentioned later on that kind of pays off. But obviously I'll explain more a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, cool. So episode 3 was called Then Learn Fly, which I thought was interesting because this is the episode where Johnny is teaching the Miyagi-Do students at the top of the building. Then we've got LaRusso teaching the Eagle Fang students about catching the fish in that pond with the board in the middle. I don't know what they call it. I'm sure they'll have a name for it. So we've got that in this episode. We've also got Terry Silver finally goes to the Cobra Kai dojo and confronts Kreese about everything. And we've also got Johnny and Carmen being like, when they're going to tell Miguel about that they're dating. And this is also the episode where Kenny finally goes to Cobra Kai and they meet Robbie for the first time as well. So we'll start with the kind of the Cobra Kai stuff with Kenny going to Robbie and Terry Silver going to Kreese. So Justin, those two things, what did you think about those? And did you like how they did those kind of stuff or not really?
So, I mean, like the whole Kenny thing going to Robbie, like we all discussed before, it was reminiscent of like other Karate Kid and Cobra Kai plot lines we've already seen. So it's like, I'm obviously rooting for Kenny because no one likes to see someone go out like a bitch. Like you want to stand up for yourself. Mm-hmm. So like I was still rooting for Kenny, and I guess the aspect is sort of new where like even though Robbie isn't a sensei, like we had a student taking a kid under his wing off screen. I believe episode 3 is where they're training in the backyard, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I like that. It was kind of an off the books thing and showing just Robbie has a slight bit of heart to him. Like he said, like, I'm too busy with Cobra Kai and school, like, and all this other shit, or what, not school, but like, whatever he's doing. But he did, when Kenny said that one line, he was like, you know what, like, I'll show you things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rashad, what about you, man?
Yeah, the Kenny and Robbie thing, yeah, I bought it. I bought it, and it just shows Robbie has not gone full Darth Vader because I know a lot of people, including myself, have been comparing him to Anakin. But he definitely has some Anakin-isms, but not to the point where he's going to go full evil. Like Robbie he's a good person. He has a good heart. He's just got a lot of anger in him. You know what I mean? So, yeah, the stuff with him and Kenny, I dug their relationship. I was all for it. With Terry coming back, like, I mean, we know that eventually Terry is going to join up with Kreese and be even more evil than he was before. So it's just cool seeing that progression, how that's going to work, how that's going to play out. And the whole time I'm thinking, and this is before I finished it, I said, Kreese is going to regret summoning that devil. He's going to regret it. I don't know exactly what Terry's going to do, but Kreese is going to regret bringing this devil into his life, and eventually that plays out. And as far as Daniel and Johnny teaching, each other's students, at first I was okay with it, but then when I started seeing him taking a liking to Miguel, I'm like, okay, I don't like where this is going.
Yeah,
I don't like where this is going. I said, because I could see Miguel kind of, gravitating towards Daniel is going to, cause a rift between him and Johnny, and I don't like that. So when I saw that set up, I see where this is going, and I'm not with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Not to do this to you, Mike. I have to run to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, cool.
Gotta drain the main vein.
Well, I was going to say, so I think I've got to agree with you, Rashad, and also about, Terry Silver finally going to Cobra Kai Dojo. For me, I like that it didn't just happen in episode 1, and, it was straight there because it just felt like, oh, well, he gave in to 30 years of getting rid of that kind of memories quick. I think they built it up quite quick. But yeah, no, I agree with you as well about Miguel. Like I was thinking, well, all this time since season 1, he's been building this relationship with Johnny. He's always in like his sensei, even through his recovery in the hospital. Johnny was there for him.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, he was learning about the cars with LaRusso, and then how the episode ends when Daniel gives him the headband. I was like, shit. I was like, you've stepped on enemy territory right there.
That's the number one student. I mean, Johnny couldn't even get a hard on after that. You know what I'm saying? Him and Carmen laying in bed together, and he couldn't even perform because he's thinking about Miguel and Daniel. Man. That's how much he was messing with them. You know?
It's true. It's very good. Yeah, Justin, we were just saying about when Daniel gives Miguel the headband at the end of the episode. And Rashad was saying to stop Johnny from performing with Carmen.
I saw that scene. I was just like, oh no.
Hey, it happens to all of us sometimes, man. You know, we've all had that one time where it's like, we'll try again tomorrow. Yeah. Right. I mean, well, at least for me, I can't speak for y'all, but at least
someone handed me this, I'd just be like.
Yeah, but also too, I want to say we get to see really how much Kreese has an influence on Terry, like how he really has his hooks in him, and and like looking back, it's like, okay, Terry had to kind of do what he did, or else Johnny would always have that hovering over him, like, hey, remember when I saved you in Vietnam? You owe me.
Some guilt tripping shit,
guilt tripping, and then you can see Terry looking at him like, I owe you, but man, why do you have to keep doing this to me? Like I was doing well before you came back into my life. You know, I was rehabilitated. I was a better person, man. Then you come back with this shit.
Dude was zen.
He was zen.
And you come back with this. Yeah, because when you mentioned about the rehabilitation, there's a point where Terry Silver mentions that, like after the events of Karate Kid 3, he went on like the downward spiral as such, and then he picked himself back up. Right. But we don't know as such like what rehab and stuff he had. Maybe not chasing teenage kids and old men for revenge.
Man. But you see that vulnerable side of Terry where he's a damaged. I mean, as evil as he is a damaged individual. And John, Kreese has a lot to do with that.
Right.
So as much love as he has for him, there's that resentment because I can never really be free until I get you out of my fucking head.
Yeah, it's been letting the beast be at bay for so many years, so they can only do it for so long. Mike, I hope it's okay. I just had a question for you specifically. Now that this is the first film, first season that's filmed exclusively with Netflix, did it feel any different to you?
Yeah, so I was going to touch on this with you guys as well. So for me, you could definitely tell like the production value was amped massively with like the HD 1080p 4K quality to start with. You could feel that straight away. But then I also noticed that in the season they filmed like during like I think like the height of COVID in like 2020 or like very late towards that year. And it felt like a couple of times where obviously they were keeping the social distance and stuff like that. It kind of, I felt at points blended in a little bit because there's like one scene in this entire season where Sam and Miguel kiss and they're a couple, and I was like, well, they tested every day, why can't they not? Because it didn't really feel romantic as such. It felt like
I can see
distance.
That,
I don't know about you guys, but I felt like it was definitely the production was amped up with the quality camera, but I felt like at times like they were keeping the distance in terms of social distance and scared they were going to give each other COVID kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know because look, Tori and Robbie look very comfortable together. Tori and Robbie was like, I said they got chemistry, and Sam and Miguel, I'm like, I don't care about y'all anymore.
It's a little awkward with them. Like it doesn't feel like it's like clicking.
Doesn't feel like a romance. Yeah, but with Robbie and Tori, you could tell like when especially in the car in that scene, I said, Tori gave him some. She gave him some. She did. Yeah. Well, Robbie went home a happy man that night.
The only thing I really saw is like I don't know, like obviously like the lighting looked a little bit different, and there were certain locations like I don't believe you ever saw the outside of LaRusso Auto, and I don't believe like there were certain like they didn't show outside shots of Daniel LaRusso's home. I know the home itself was in Georgia was bought by Airbnb, and it's an Airbnb y'all can stay in now. So
wow.
Yeah, I believe they've also sold the real mini mart location where Cobra Kai Dojo was used, so that's now in a studio as well.
Yeah, I forget if I told you that or not because
I think you did.
Yeah. When I met Peyton List, she said like, "Oh yeah, like they sold that location. Like I don't know what they're going to do with it now, but obviously we can say why that is later."
You met Peyton List?
Yeah.
How was that?
I was excited, but I don't want to make this about me and delay the stream.
Yeah, she seems like she's a very nice girl.
Good. She's a very nice person, and we got to talk about a lot of cool shit. That's where I'll leave it for now.
Okay, all right, cool. I'm jealous, man.
I've heard stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So one last thing I want to touch on in episode 3, and then we'll move on. Is what did you guys think of Sam's stunt double when she jumped off the building?
Oh God, yeah. That was definitely a low point. that was the one scene where I was like, okay, I care never to see that again. And I love this show, but there are certain times where I'm like, we could have did without that, and that was one of them. That was one of them. I said that was like Spider-Man right there.
I didn't even notice it. I'm not gonna lie. Probably if I go back and watch it, I'll see what was it like bad as like original Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator 2, like when he rode off the dam, kind of, or is it like?
I don't think it was that noticeable. Like I don't think they really showed her face, but you could tell like body wise that wasn't her. And just that jump itself, like there's no way humanly possible. Even LeBron couldn't have made that jump. There's no way. Nah.
The wind was blowing 40 miles in her favor. Forward.
Right.
She got that extra foot and a half.
Right.
Well, okay, and I tell you, and that scene also, I didn't like the way she talked to Johnny, because obviously Johnny's trying to help them. And when she called him out, like, yeah, well, I was a teenager that made mistakes, and you're a 50-something-year-old man who drinks and still hasn't figured himself out. And I'm like, I'm sorry, who you think you're talking to? Right. I don't like the LaRussos, man. I really don't.
But I'm glad Sam did stand up for herself. Like she got some, like they even mentioned it, like she grew some balls in this season, more or less.
Yeah. Well, so I guess that was the beginning of, because eventually she ended up taking a liking to Johnny, and she was leaning more towards Johnny's teaching than Daniel. So was that like the start of that, I guess? Where she really started respecting Johnny?
Yeah. I think it could be, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think so as well. And well, that also kind of leads into the next episode. So we've got next episode, which is number 4. It's called Bicepali. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. But yeah, so we've got in this one where Kenny visits the high school, and he's got the Cobra Kai shirt on in the bathroom with the Miyagi-Do students.
Yeah.
He then goes to Robbie, and Robbie confronts Johnny and says, look, tell your students to leave him alone. So we've got that in this season. So we get a Johnny and Robbie first interaction. We've also got where Terry Silver's officially joining Cobra Kai. He's doing some teachings in the dojo too. We've got the birthday party where Amanda and Sam see Tori with her new job. We've got that in this episode. We've also got about Johnny Googling how to tell his student that he's banging his mom.
I love Johnny, man.
Rashad, you know you're lying if you didn't type that in too.
Something similar.
But we've also got this as well. So we've got a lot to touch on in this episode, but we'll try and keep it quick because we've got quite a few episodes to still go through. Yeah. We've also got where they're at the drive-in watching Bloodsport, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, they're watching Bloodsport. I
still have yet to see that movie.
Same here.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
No. Yeah, we've got that, and then I'll talk about the ending in a moment. But first, you can just touch on the again Kenny stuff about visiting the school, getting bullied, and goes to Robbie. What did you guys think of him getting bullied by the Miyagi-Do students? Rashad?
Well, I knew it was coming. You know, I think they showed that in the trailer. So yeah, I knew that was coming. But the kids that bullied him were like. No, like Bert and the other kid, like they're the two smallest ones, and I don't think Bert ever won. Yeah, I don't think Bert ever won a fight. So to have Bert be a bully, that was just so out of place. And then when Hawk came, but yeah, so when Kenny went back and told Robbie, Robbie's like, well, who did this? He said one of them had like spiky hair. I said, oh shit, this is where they're gonna get Hawk.
Was Bert the one thrown through the LaRusso window?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I thought that's who that was.
Yeah. So when he went back to Robbie, I said, "Oh, this is where they get Hawk." And I don't know if you guys ever saw The Outsiders, but I was getting Outsiders vibes at the drive-in. Never seen The Outsiders?
Nah.
With watching an 8th grade reading class, yeah.
Oh shit. Well, yeah, it had a similar scene where they was at the drive-in and then they had to meet up at this park for this, for a big rumble and everything. And I said, okay, that's right from the outsiders there. But
right.
Yeah, that's about all I got.
Well, what did you think? What did you also think of the drive-in scene?
The driving scene. Well, first of all, I was happy to see that they were watching Bloodsport.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite martial arts movies of all time, man. Van Damme, put some respect on his name. Yeah, the whole driving scene was cool. Like I said, I just got outsiders vibes there, and I was really feeling it,
Right.
And the way Miguel pulled that off, that really shows Daniel's influence on him. Instead of because Johnny got mad at him like, yeah, so did you like kick their face in or whatever? He said, no, I had him go in there, the sprinklers came up on him. Wait a minute, so you picked a fight and then you ran like a pussy and then yeah. And then Daniel's like, no, that's a good thing. That's why I'm like, damn it, this is not working. He's undoing everything that Johnny taught him, and once again, I don't like that.
No, same.
Yeah.
Same here. And no, man, I've got to agree. And Justin, what about you? Do you kind of agree with us?
So, I mean, as far as like which aspect? Because y'all touched on like 3 different things.
So yes, like do you agree in terms of like when Kenny visits the school and also like the baseball field scene with the drive-in?
Oh yeah, like so. I mean, the scene at the drive-in, like I thought it was funny because you had the Asian guy, I forget his name, but he was like asking him, it's like I want 3 chili dogs, like all this popcorn and stuff.
Kyler,
like you knew Kyler, yeah. You knew some shit was happening when Kenny was walking back, like like trying to bounce off. Yo, he's about to get that slap that right out of him.
Right.
But, I mean, you knew that scene in general, like you kind of got anxiety about because you knew something was bubbling, like at this specific scene. Because in any teen-filled show or movie or anything, like Stargirl was another one that I saw in the first season, like they're at a drive-in, you can just tell something's not just right in this scene and something's going to lead to a bigger confrontation because no one goes to a drive-in in a superhero show or movie or anything now and it's just them watching a movie and that's it. Thanks. Unless they're getting some hot action, there's either a hot action going to be happening or there's going to be a fight.
Yeah.
Right. Right. No, I've got to agree. And I like the setup before the baseball scene when they said to meet at the baseball scene. I like that the both sides were about to go against one another, and I wish there was like a mini fight there, or like say like Bert beat up Kenny or something, to kind of cause that, together the dojos going against each other. But I mean, we didn't get that, of course. But then we've also got in this episode, one thing I want to touch on as well is the ending episode where we finally get Terry Silver goes over to Miyagi-Do. Rashad, what do you think of that, man?
Oh man, I got goosebumps there. Like every time I hear Terry Silver's music, I get goosebumps. So when he went back and then they showed like, of course, the flashbacks, I said, "Oh shit!" I know Danny Boy is shitting his pants right now.
Yeah.
And I love the way he says it too, Danny Boy. I said, "Oh shit."
Yeah. Because we do get a flashback in this scene, so the young Kreese does return, and it shows him and Silver getting the Cobra tattoos as well. Before that.
Right. And at first I didn't quite know what to make of that because I'm like, okay, is Silver just playing, is he just doing his classic manipulation? Because he did the same thing in Karate Kid 3 where he was trying to soften Daniel and Miyagi up to make him think he was a good person and that he had good intentions when the whole time, he had that evil smirk like, I'm really trying to fuck you guys over. So a part of me was like, because he's not full evil yet, so a part of me was like, was he really trying to go there to make peace? Or was this just a part of, the Quicksilver method? So I wasn't quite sure what to make of him in that scene. And maybe that's what the writers were going for, to keep us kind of, like we don't know which way this guy is swinging yet. You know what I mean?
Right. I've got to agree. Justin, what about you?
So when I saw, the one thing I was kind of happy about is, obviously, I watched the first Karate Kid movie a million times. And I want to say in, 2014 or 15, I watched 2, 3, and 4. So I watched them all in succession. So I haven't watched them since. It sounds like I need to rewatch them. But the fact that Johnny didn't really know who Silver is was good. It shows some continuity. If I'm not mistaken, they never met in the previous films or never knew about each other at all from word of mouth in previous films.
Right.
Yeah, they never. Yeah, because Johnny, because I think he was brought up in season 1. And he was like, yeah, this was owned by a Terry Silver. He's like, I have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think even Johnny says, like, who the hell's that guy or something, right?
Yeah. No, I've got to agree, fellas. And I think, for me personally, I think this episode, the ending of it, was great leading into episode 5, which I think was one of the best episodes of the season, which is called Match Point. And in this one is when Danny and Johnny go to the bar and ultimately set up the fight between them at the end of this episode. So we've got that to talk about.
Yeah.
We've also got what happens to Hawk in this episode too.
Yeah.
We've also got, let me have a look because I've got quite a lot of notes here. Yeah, I think it's mainly about like Sam starts to like really relate with Johnny a bit more and starts going against her dad about the whole match. And one thing I wanted to love to talk about, like the Johnny and Daniel match. I loved when Johnny went on Twitter and he put in Hash Brown Dead Meat. And then back in 2018, he just put hello ? And how do you work this? I thought that was awesome. So, Rashad, actually, Justin, we'll start with you, man. So, what was your thoughts of finally going to see Johnny v. Daniel LaRusso rematch from 30 years ago?
So, like, now, did the actual fight happen in this episode, or was it the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the end of the episode.
So, like, at the beginning of the episode, I was just like, oh, cool, we're going to get a rematch. But as the episode went on, I was like, you know what? I feel like the age-old question of like who won, like Johnny or Daniel, was an illegal kick or one. I feel like at the end of this episode, there's going to be some other inconclusive answer. I feel like they're not going to let the fans get that satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, seeing John, like the only way Johnny got his word out is because like one kid saw it, and then they showed one friend, and they showed a whole group. And then later on, it's like, what the hell are all these people doing here? Like,
yeah.
Well, Rashad, funny thing is, mentioning that, is when the fight was about to start just before, my partner Emma said, it's going to end like Rocky 3, isn't it? And I thought, Rashad.
No, Rocky 2. It ended like Rocky 2. Yeah, when they knock each other out. So when that happened, I set up, they Rocky 2'd each other. But I want to say this. I hope I'm not too take too long with this. All right. As much as I'm Team Johnny, there is no way that Johnny should be able to beat Daniel, and I'll tell you why. When Johnny and Daniel had that fight at the All Valley, okay, that's where Johnny's training stopped with Kreese. So I don't know if he got another sensei down the line, but that's kind of where he almost like he plateaued right there, and maybe he picked up a thing or two along the way. But Daniel had Mr. Miyagi up until Miyagi died. So you're talking about years and years of Miyagi-Do training, and he learned the dark side of Miyagi training from Chosen. So Daniel has skills to, like, he should be able to destroy Johnny. Not to mention, when he fought him at that All Valley, he defeated him with 2 months training, never did karate in his life, 2 months training, and he beat him on one fucking leg. So you're telling me now, after 30 years, with all this extensive training, that Johnny should be able to hang with Daniel? I'm like, but I get it. For the sake of the show, they have to make them equals. But on paper, there's no way that Johnny should be able to beat Daniel.
Yeah, I think what they're going for, like, even though it's been, what, like 20-some years later, he's got Johnny Lawrence has got the muscle memory and the aggression going for him, maybe. I don't know.
I guess. But I mean, it was still a cool scene. And man, I was laughing my ass off because Daniel woke up hungover thinking that Johnny was going to forget the whole thing. Like, man, we're just two drunk guys talking shit, man. Johnny's not going to get up and fight. And you see a training montage with Johnny training. Down the street and shit like that. I don't know if you recognize the song that was playing, but that was from Rocky 4 in The Burning Heart.
Was it really?
It was,
yeah. When Rocky went to Russia.
Yeah,
that was the song that was playing. Yes, I said, okay, they took it back to Rocky 4 here.
Yeah, I know Rashad saw that editor's cut. I haven't gone out to see that either way.
Oh, the directors. Oh, yeah, to my Rocky 4, yeah. But I was like, okay, and Johnny's just going around assaulting people.
Breaking with scooters and shit like that.
Yeah, he was taking it so serious, man. And then once again, him and Miguel meet up, and he's trying to have Miguel like help him out. And Miguel's like, I don't want this to happen. I said, see, the wedge is getting bigger, you know. They're really going their separate ways right now. Yeah.
No, I agree. And that montage is awesome, especially when he's running across the beach and tries to kick the beach ball and it doesn't go nowhere.
That was so great, man. I love Johnny, man. That's like my spirit animal right there.
Same. No, I think that montage was excellent and kind of like, again, like Rocky vibes and stuff. You know, like that's something that Rocky would be doing, running across the beach, hitting cement blocks and stuff like that. one thing that in this episode that like really kind of touched me, and I was like, oh shit, I actually got a bit kind of emotional and such about it, was Hawk when he's trapped in the tattoo shop. And at first I was wondering, like when they pinned him down, I was like, is Robbie going to try get the tattoo gun and just do some random, ink?
I thought that.
On it? Like, what's he going to do to him?
Yeah.
But he actually
I got some anxiety there because like I've been fearing for Hawk's life ever since the end of season 3. So when that happened to him, I got kind of like a sigh of relief. But then it was still messed up because I know that he defined himself by the Hawk, and now his confidence and everything is gone. But I'm like, I'm just glad that they didn't beat the shit out of him. Because I've seen enough movies to know where they finally catch the guy that they want to, they beat him up pretty bad. And, luckily they didn't beat him up. So I was relieved for that.
It could have been like you guys were saying, because of pandemic and everything like that, maybe because they did have him alone in an area where no one would have known really. Like it doesn't seem like there was cameras and obviously like you could have bruises left or something like that. But like you could at least like taught him a lesson, tripped him, shoved him down or something like that. But no, like they're gonna like have him shave his head. Like they're gonna strip him away from everything that's badass. And that reminded me of like season 1, episode 1 or 2 Hawk at that point. Like he
was back to Eli again. Yeah, which I think that, but also that because if they did put hands on him, that would have broke the whole no fight clause or whatever that they can't touch each other before the tournament. So I guess they had to do that. But when that happened to him, he was back to being Eli again.
Yeah, true. I kind of wish in that scene, I kind of wish that they dyed his hair a little bit earlier on in the season, because in that, like, you had that one scene in the school where Dimitri's girlfriend Jasmine's there, and then he starts talking to Moon again. In that one scene, he gets the purple hair, and the next scene is chopped off. And I was like, well, why did he dye for like this scene?
Yeah.
I wish it was just a little bit longer, the purple hair, but fair enough. But yeah, so that's kind of basically episode 5, and then obviously Miyagi and Eagle Fang separate at that point, and they're just like, right, we're not clearly going to get along with what happened to Hawk, so they go their separate ways. So we're now on episode 6, and this one's called Kicks Gets Chicks. And this is where we get the All Valley board meeting. So we get this in this episode. They also get the news about, we'll talk about the All Valley meeting. Terry Silver buys new gear for all of his students.
Swag, yeah.
We also get Tori get confronted by an ant outside the dojo. We get Johnny trying to recruit girls for the news, which we're going to get to. Amanda talks to Tori in the house. And what else do we get here? And we also get about Hawk goes to Miyagi, and we also get Tori goes back to school. So to start this off, we've got the whole thing with Tori yet again. So she's with Amanda LaRusso in the house this time. Then we also get her confronted by an ant as well, and we also get Homeless Lynn as well. She was in the background in that scene, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, so Rashad, we're going to start with you, man. So in this whole thing with Amanda and Tori, I think we've all kind of said, like, it could have definitely been developed better, or we weren't really a big fan of it. But do you kind of have, at this moment, do you think Tori might be related at any point to Mike Barnes?
Actually, I kind of have a theory that Mike Barnes might be Miguel's pops. Possibly,
okay.
Because Miguel is Michael in Spanish, so there's a possibility. But I don't think we'll see Tori's pops. But I do like the fact that she went to Amanda's house, because you can tell she's trying to turn her life around. She's just tired, like, listen, I'm growing up, I'm getting older, and I need to get my shit together. And she's trying to do that, and Amanda sees she's trying to do that. But once again, those rotten LaRusso kids come in the house and mess that all up. What the hell is she doing here? I'm like, you little heifer, just go away. Just go away. Jeez. Yeah, so the stuff with Tori, that to me that worked. Now with Hawk, I'm kind of conflicted about Hawk's arc, because I feel like we didn't get enough like development as far as why he went to Miyagi-Do. You know what I'm saying? Like he just literally walked off of Johnny the previous episode, and then when he has that meeting with Dimitri and he's like, I'm not Eagle Fang or Miyagi-Do, but then he just shows up at Miyagi-Do one day. Like I wish we could have got something with him and Johnny where Johnny's like, hey man, are you coming back? He's like, no, I'm not coming back. And I just wish it would have been more of, why he jumped shit from Eagle Fang to Miyagi-Do. You know, it was just like sudden, like, okay, now I'm Miyagi-Do. I just feel like we didn't get enough of development as far as his arc, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I felt like there was like maybe some footage missing from that to making that decision. Justin, what about you, man? What's your thoughts on the whole thing with Hawk, as Rashad was saying?
I mean, like, I do think, because episode 6, as you said, is that where they show him the binary brothers, or was that 7?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, obviously, like, I know, like, when they showed that binary brothers clip, it looked like a modern clip, but they just put a bunch of like goggles on, all this other stuff, so you couldn't see like that they were the same age or anything. But like, it was still a cool thing, because like Eli is a nerd at heart. Not to like bring this up or anything like that, but Jacob Bertrand, when I was talking to him in person, he was talking to my buddy Mike, not you, but other Mike, about Magic the Gathering and shit like that. So you can tell, like, he loves Pokemon. He was talking to us about that. Like, so you can tell, like, even the actor is a nerd at heart. So I felt like that was like a good angle for him to come in at, like Dimitri's angle to come in. Like, hey, like, this is us. We're still this at heart, no matter what you look like or how badass you think you are.
Right.
This is what it is. But like, to what you guys are saying, I think there should have been just like another scene in there, like where, I don't know, maybe like Dimitri showed him that one video, or maybe he was like going down the rabbit hole of like the other nerdy videos they filmed or something like that, or just something else, some other thing that we could have latched on to that got him to that point of walking back into Miyagi-Do.
Right. Totally. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, definitely. I just feel like we should have got more of that arc, you know, for it to really, you know, like, damn, okay, Hawk went from this to this, you know what I'm saying? We get to see that progression, but it's like, nah, it's just suddenly, boom, you're here. Now you're here. We have to accept it.
Yeah, a bit more emotion, I think, could have justified it a bit more.
Right.
And one last thing I want to talk about in this one is, what did you guys think of the All Valley decision?
I like that. I like that a lot. I think because there's a lot of events out there, they're just like, hey, this is like fight on fight, and that's cool and all. But like, there is a lot of other aspects to karate. Like I studied Jeet Kune Do and stuff. I didn't get a black belt or anything. One of them citrus colors, you know, like orange or green or something like that. I don't know.
Nice.
But like, they did have forms and stuff like that where you're just like moving across the mat and doing different forms. They had you training with boards, even though, like, again, we'll talk about this a little bit, but like a lot of the boards they broke in the trainings were like balsa wood or some bullshit like that, like this thin. But I was like, okay, whatever. But you know, there is different aspects in just like the fights. There's training and certain stretches, exercises, and there's like stuff with medicine balls and stuff. Obviously, it depends on what martial art you're learning, but there's many different aspects. So it's like, you know what, I was like, that makes sense, because you have girls who are 18 and tiny, and then you see other chicks who are like 300 pounds and buff and just ready to go all in. But like, it's not fair. Like, you have to separate some sort of class at some point.
Right. Yeah. So no, I've got to agree with you guys. The one thing that I would have liked to have seen in the All Valley decision, and I don't know if you guys agree on this one, is in this episode we get a rare return appearance from Aisha, which was awesome that she finally came back and gave us an acknowledgement. But they mentioned that, you know, with the board meeting, that LaRusso wasn't there because he was in active dojo. But in the background, when they're talking about separating the boys and the girls, the footage of Aisha getting kicked by a boy was shown. And I felt like it would have been good to have her in that board meeting, so she could be like, well, actually, you know, having maybe the men and the women separate is a great idea, because it gives us females maybe more chance, you know, as an ultimate tournament. But I felt like her return was wasted in that scene with Sam. It kind of, I get it in terms of Sam was conflicted. She was kind of, you know, need the friend, you know, in hand to talk about that. But I just felt like she should have been in that All Valley board meeting.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a little random, because at first, when I thought of where Sam was going at first, for a split second, I was like, oh wait, is this where Hillary Swank's going to come in? But then, like, after like 2 seconds, before she even knocked at the door, after like 2 seconds, it's like, you know, we haven't seen Aisha in a while. I heard like the actress off screen, like I heard the actress not like bitter that she wasn't in season 3, but she said like she just wasn't asked, and I think she was dealing with like some sort of car accident between her boyfriend, and they were trying to pay medical bills or something like that.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
That's what I heard off screen, and she was trying to get like a GoFundMe or something. Like I felt bad, but like it's just I'm glad to at least see her showed up and in that board meeting video, like she was featured, like you were saying, Mike. So at least you could try to say like the whole reason the board switched their mind is because they saw Aisha in that light.
Yeah.
Right.
No, definitely. I totally agree. That's a good idea, Mike, because I felt like it was nice to see her again, but it was just like a wasted cameo. And out of all scenes, you share it with Sam, one of the rotten LaRussos. You know what I mean? But I think that would have been a good touch if she was on that board meeting, on that board to talk about the rules or whatever. And like JJ was saying, like real life karate tournaments are in that format. You have the skills test and then the fighting or whatever. So they're definitely adding more realism to it as compared to just straight up fighting. So I thought that was tight work.
Awesome. And I'm excited to talk about the All Valley. We're going to get into that very, very shortly. But we're on to episode 7, and this one is called Minefield. So we've got where Anthony is approached by Daniel LaRusso, and he says, "Look, I'm going to teach you," and he tells him to wax on the cars. So we've got that in this episode. We've got Devin from the debate team joins Eagle Fang in this episode. So we've got that. Johnny and Carmen tell Miguel that they're dating in this episode. There's also another thing I want to talk to you guys about, but we've also got Kenny's beat up the bullies in the library. And then Johnny takes Miguel out of school and kind of like has a one-on-one about their dads, and they didn't really know their dads and stuff like that. So again, to start this off, Rashad, what was your thoughts about Kenny and the whole getting bullied, not learning wax on wax off, and then he's Anthony, and then Kenny pretty much beats him up, and LaRusso finds out that his son's a bully as well.
So Kenny out of nowhere became John Rambo, where he's like turning the lights out and he's attacking people in stealth mode. I said, okay, Kenny. I said, all right, Kenny.
he had some Batman prep time for this scene.
Yeah, he definitely has some Batman prep time. I was like, okay, but the thing about Cobra Kai, you just have to, just take reality, just fuck it, throw it out the window. There's nothing really realistic about this show. So I went along with it. And I loved the way Daniel looked at Anthony when they was in the principal's office, and he was like, yeah, your son's actually the bully. And Daniel turned and looked at him, and I said, look, you need to tear his ass up. Old school, get a belt and whoop his ass. Which he came close to doing. Was that the same episode where he was on punishment and Daniel found the tablet or whatever he was messing with?
Was that episode 8?
He broke it over his knee, yeah.
I think so.
I think that was the same episode. That was episode 8. Okay, so
when you binge them, they all blur together.
I think it is because I think at the end of towards this episode is Daniel realized that Anthony didn't wax on the car. He actually hired someone to do it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, okay, even that. Yeah, I didn't like it. I'm like, this boy, he hasn't earned the right to learn karate, especially Miyagi Do. Just a rich lineage of karate. He's not worthy of that. So I'm glad he quit. He's, Daniel said, you're not mature enough for this. Step off.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but my favorite scene in this episode was the heart to heart with Johnny and Miguel, and I'm like, because they need this because this whole season they've been drifting apart, man. So I love that.
It felt weird. It felt weird.
Yeah. So they needed to have that talk, and how awkward is that your sensei is banging your mom? What do you say to that?
That's true. And Justin, what do you think, Manny? Because Rashad was saying, I have that heart to heart. We also learn that, obviously Johnny Carmen's date, and Miguel finds his headband in the bed out of all places as well.
Yeah, it was a good episode. Obviously, you can't help but cringe at how certain shit happens in this show, but at the same time, it's the embodiment of all types of 80s cliches and humor and stuff. So it fits, but you're still just oh geez, like when you watch it. But I think, Rashad was saying, that scene where they're in the principal's office, I've been in situations where I've gotten in trouble. I have to, sit silently next to some dude I beat the shit out of, or he beat the shit out of me, or we were starting shit. and we had this thing in elementary school called the wall. If you acted up like during recess, you didn't get to go out and play. You had to stand on the wall and count the bricks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so like just sitting there, having to sit there next to the person you hate with every fiber of your being, you're just like,
yeah.
Right.
But like, I think it's cool, the whole cyberbullying thing, because like you see people taking videos and stuff like that. And I kind of related it. Like, I wish they would have done something like this with Flash Thompson and No Way Home, not to get off subject, but like, I like this, that like people were filming him being humiliated and like not have to be like the classic, like, yeah, my fist breaking your teeth, that's what's going to happen. So like, but like, you know, just like the fact that like, we're going to film you being humiliated. We're going to make you run out into the hallway in front of the girls' soccer team or whatever, like in your drawers and stuff like that. Like, it's a different type of world we live in today, but I think that like those modern aspects were cool.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I definitely felt it was like more relatable in terms of not just bullying like face to face, and like it was like cyberbullying as well.
And how the hell did they get all that milk in that locker? Is that even physically possible?
The locker, like anyone who has been to school, the lockers have vents in them. So like the bottom and the top would like have vents in them. So it's like it would have seeped out unless like it was a quick shot. So maybe it was like all the bottles were stacked, all the cartons were stacked up, and the second you open the door, they all tipped over. I don't know.
Yeah,
they even make a comment about that, like, how'd that shit happen?
Yeah, how the hell did they do that?
Yeah, I have no idea, because in schools over here we don't have lockers, or at least we didn't when I went to school. So I don't know about that. And then one last thing about this episode, guys, I want to ask your opinions on is, what do you guys make of the character Devon who joins Eagle Fang? I
liked her. She was a little firecracker. I liked her. Yeah. She and we're definitely gonna see more of her in the future too. You can tell the way they set her character up. Yeah, we're gonna see a lot more of her again.
It felt like she came from like the 80s, like Johnny's time period, because they're connecting like on everything.
Yes, and I was right there when she mentioned Bloodsport and the Octagon and you know, just the different. I'm like, oh shit, I know these movies, you know, Best of the Best. I'm like, yes, that's my daughter right there.
I think it goes a long way too, because like obviously you have Daniel and Johnny who are two different people. Johnny is way more out of touch, but he's starting to get there. But like you have all different types of representation. You have skinny people, you have white people, you have people of different ethnicities, you have people who are bigger and people who are getting made fun of just because of their accent or their skin color, like all that stuff. Like I think it blends so well. And even the best part was when I believe it was this episode when Johnny was trying to recruit, was it Piper or Piper's friend?
Yeah. Piper,
When Johnny was just like, we take any gender here. He's like, oh well, I'm asexual. It's like, well, yeah, he's pretty sexual too. Like, look at him over there. He's just like shit. I was just like, I was waiting for jokes like that. Like this.
Yeah, well, even the whole fluid thing, like something fluid. He's like, yeah, I agree, you do need fluids.
Get your electrolytes or something.
Yeah, I mean, because honestly, I'm not really familiar with a lot of the pronouns either. If I could be honest, like I don't know. So I mean, not to be mean enough, I just don't know the terms. So when you say certain things, I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so I can relate with Johnny on that one. Like I never heard that before.
Yeah, I felt like that was awesome. And one other thing I loved as well is that the callback into the 80s when he puts baby oil on Miguel.
There's a little callback. Do you guys ever watch a show called Married with Children with Al Bundy?
Yes, Married with Children, classic.
There was an episode where they were like really broke, and Bud was just like trying to oil himself up and stuff. And the old lady comes by, and she's like, "Oh, maybe for a penny or something like that." I was just like, yeah, it was like the same vibe and shit. Oh my god.
Yeah, well, that was a lot of movies in the 80s, man. Like the guys would be buff and they'd be like just covered with baby oil. You know, even when you watch the Rocky movies, like those guys had baby oil like all over them.
Like how did they like punch each other, grip each other? Like I have no idea.
Yeah, cinematic magic, man.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 more episodes to cover, and this one is actually where, when we've been talking about all this funny stuff, it kind of gets like more on the emotional side, because this is the episode where we get one of the best Cobra Kai kind of cameo characters return. Stingray is back, which I was over the moon with seeing him again.
Yes.
We've got where he has a party at his house. We've got the prom in this episode, and we've got probably one of the most emotional scenes in this, where Johnny is drunk, and Miguel takes him back to the house, and they're talking about this old dad, and then Johnny again fucks everything up and says, "I love you, Robbie."
Yeah,
Man,
You could see so many emotions running through Miguel's head right there. Like he's like, I miss a father figure. I want my father figure, but I can't be mad at him for wanting to attach to his son. Obviously, something will follow up at the end of the last episode that we'll talk about. But like, just seeing Miguel like still willing to help and do things, but at the same time, there was some inner conflict there that he knew needed to be resolved.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I dropped that moment. I dropped my head when he says, "I love you too, Robbie." I said, "Oh, jeez." I said, Johnny. I said, you can't stop fucking up if you tried, man. I said, you can't help yourself. And yeah, shout out to the I forgot that how you say the actor's name that plays Miguel.
I thought it was like Xolo, but apparently
Xolo, isn't it?
I think it was like Xolo, but like with a little bit of hook. But I've heard people say Xolo with a Z and stuff. I think Perez said Xolo. Maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. I've literally been at a panel with him there and heard his name, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, either way. Well, either way, man, that his acting was so good there. Like you say, you just saw just the different levels of emotion there, man. And then like I felt for the guy because it's like, you know what I'm saying, like you know, your guard is down. You telling him, you know, this man that you see as a father, I love you, and he calls out Robbie, you know, the guy that broke your back, and like you felt that, you know what I mean? You just really felt for that character at that time.
It definitely gives a lot of perspective, and this season as a whole. I love how all the perspectives, and like I said, not just people of different genders and ethnicity and stuff like that, but just different family situations. Like I'm a person who has a mom and dad that have been married for X amount of years, probably 25, 30, I believe. Maybe I'm a crappy son for not knowing the exact year. But like there's people who are divorced, there's people who don't know their dads, and like I don't know what that's like, obviously. So like it's cool to see that situation depicted on screen.
Yeah, well, and also we get to see for the first time chinks in Kreese's armor, because for the first time we see him, like, I don't know, I was getting kind of Return of the Jedi vibes, because there's a lot of Star Wars parallels with this show, and I was getting Return of the Jedi vibes when Terry was beating the shit out of Johnny, and Kreese is sitting there watching, right? But you could tell he doesn't like what he sees, so the first thing I'm thinking of is Vader watching the Emperor shock Luke, and you know, he has that moment, you know, no, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, so you really saw at that moment that Kreese really does care about Johnny. He really does see Johnny as a son, you know what I'm saying? And he didn't like, how Terry was doing him. And then Terry saw this, and I'm like, oh shit. I said, something's about to go down, because Terry's seen it. And like he said earlier, everybody has a weakness. Not Sensei Kreese. Yes, even Sensei Kreese has a weakness.
Yeah,
and we saw it right there.
Especially when Terry's fighting Johnny as well. I thought that was... And, I think that's going to be a question on a lot of people's minds, being like, well, who's the better fighter, Johnny or Terry?
Terry.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm like that. It kind of got that got answered, though. You know.
Yeah, Terry is the best fighter in Cobra Kai, even over Kreese, man. Terry's like, he's the real deal. Like, only guy that can really stick with him is Miyagi, and of course, he's not here anymore. But yeah, Miyagi's the only one that could defeat Terry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, definitely. And then, what were you guys also thought about the whole Stingray coming back, and then like the prom scene, and then obviously one of the Lawrences is getting some action, Robbie, when he kisses his Tori.
I don't know. Like, I always felt like I thought the Stingray character was like a one-off thing. I get that they want to follow up with him in this season because obviously like he had some sort of influence, but it's just like they even touch on the fact that like Stingray's a lot older, but I have friends who are all ages. I'm 30. I have people who are my one best friend's 40 years old. I have other friends who are like 21, 22. So sometimes I kind of feel like Stingray in that sense of like, I do have friends, but like in that sense of where like I'm 30 hanging out with these 22, 23, 21 year olds. And it's just like, it doesn't feel weird. It just feels like sometimes that like, it's not as natural as it should be.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think like, Stingray is awesome to see. And he definitely plays kind of pivotal part, because at the end of this episode is when Terry Silver beats him up, and then it kind of cuts. And I like that. I thought,
that was a crazy scene. He beat the shit out of Stingray.
Right. You want to be Cobra Kai?
Yeah. like even stomped him out. Like that last kick, like he actually like stomped his face in.
Yeah, it was kind of quite brutal.
Yeah, Stingray does serve a purpose. I mean, we see how everything played out. So I guess that's why his character was needed. But I like Stingray, man. You know, he's just, you know, I just like him. I can't explain it.
No, I do too. And, you know, kind of leading into Stingray and at the end of that episode, I think me and Rashad have touched this both in our respective Cobra Kai reviews, because the next episode called The Fall, it goes straight into the Old Valley. And I felt like at the end of when Silver beats him up, there's no build of, like, say, these students having, like, one last training session, or, like, you know, it just felt as if there's maybe, like, 10, 15 minutes, missing from being like, right, the Old Valley tournament's coming tomorrow, get a good night's sleep kind of thing.
Extended edition.
I thought it was an episode missing. I'm like, wait a minute, do we miss an episode? Because you gotta have a montage, man. Yeah, you gotta have a montage.
Right. I agree. Yeah. And this is the episode I've been dying to talk about, because Justin, I know Rashad's feelings in this, but what's your thoughts on the special celebrity guest that they have performing at the Old Valley?
Well, I mean, that was the moment where it was like even more clear that Netflix had a hold of the series. Like, I don't see a bunch of Netflix stuff in here, but like I think they'd mentioned, I forget who owns the rights, maybe it's BBC, but they did mention like Outlander in one episode. Like, they switched from like Game of Thrones references to Outlander, I think, and it wasn't a heavily influence, but it was like the whole Carrie Underwood thing. Like, this is a small ass karate tournament in the middle of nowhere, and they even mention it, but it's just like, I was like, what is? That's another thing I did get spoiled, because like there was a picture on Instagram that Jacob Bertrand uploaded with like Hawk, Miguel, and someone else holding up Carrie Underwood. I was like, okay, I guess like maybe she likes the show or something, but I didn't know it would be incorporated into it. Her singing the song and like the song playing while they were fighting, like I didn't mind, but just the fact that she was there was just, it took me off guard. It was a little weird.
And Rashad, I think we know your feelings, but do you want to expand a bit?
Carrie Underwood. All right, so if she would have just sung the national anthem, I could have lived with that. But for a fighting montage, okay, especially if you're in the spirit of the 80s, when you have a montage, a fighting montage, you need a kick-ass song behind it. Now, Moment of Truth is a kick-ass song. That's a song.
It was a cover song, right? It was a cover song?
What's that, Moment of Truth?
Yeah.
Well, that was the song that played at the end credits of the first Karate Kid movie.
Okay, yeah. It sounded familiar, not to interrupt. It sounded familiar. I just it's like, where have I heard this from? Shit.
Yeah, it was there. So if you watch the first Karate Kid, that's the song that plays in the credits. And yeah, I think even in the trailer for the first Karate Kid, that song plays. But okay, the song I could have lived with, but Carrie Underwood, you got a country version of Moment of Truth in a tournament. You know what I'm saying? It just threw me off, man. I said, no. Nah, I mean, personally, I wanted You're the Best. That's what I wanted. But I guess they figured that was the obvious. You know, that's what everybody's expecting. We're not going to give you what you're expecting. We're going to throw you a curveball. But I think You're the Best would have been perfect for that.
Right.
And why not? It's been over 35 years. It ain't like we heard it, like we hear it every day.
They got the money. Like me saying Carrie Underwood fell off. But I mean, then again, we did get Twisted Sister last season, right?
Nice.
D. Snyder.
Yeah.
I just think maybe they were going for the whole thing, like the Hollywood eyes, stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But something just didn't sit right with me about it. I don't know. What about you, Mike?
It was off, man.
No, I've got to agree with you guys. So I mean, like personally, if I'm driving in the car, personally, this may be a bit of a confession here, but I love country music, and I literally listen to country music in my car. So when Carrie Underwood, I was like shit. Like I was like, what's she doing in Cobra Kai? And to me, it felt like as if her performance and her being there is like Netflix have signed her to do like a live concert performance on their platform. So they may be like, oh, I like to be like, oh, we're shooting Cobra Kai the same day. Do you want to come do an appearance at the Old Valley? That's what it kind of felt like.
Yeah, but there's a few things in this season where I'm just like, you know what? It probably could have gone a different way before COVID and before maybe they decided to make this show a few more seasons, that it looked like it was going to go a different way. And then at the last second, there was like, hey, let's do this to get more, you know?
Yeah. And the fact that they kept cutting to her, I'm like, all right, so I'm trying to enjoy this montage and seeing my favorite characters get down, and they kept cutting to her performance. I don't want to see you. I mean, you're easy on the eyes, but I'm focused on this right now. I'm focused on the fights. I don't want to see your ass.
Right.
Like, just, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Rashad, don't lie. You want to see that ass.
I do, but there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place for everything, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll look at that later. Right now, I want to see this montage, this fight.
Yeah, no, I've got to agree because the thing is, it's, since season 3, they've built up this All Valley tournament and being like, right, this is the biggest stakes ever for a karate tournament in the history of All Valley. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they got Carrie Underwood playing in this. It's supposed to be an epic montage. Yeah, and it just didn't make sense because in this montage,
Underwood doesn't feel epic. Like if they got someone like a Journey or Foreigner or like some Survivor. Other some other band like that. Like it could have been not even the band. It would be like, please welcome such and such from Journey. Like I forget who some Filipino dude I think is the new singer for Journey or whatever replaced. But it's like a singular person who put more power into it. Like someone. Right. A singer who represents power, but like Carrie Underwood just represents like, I don't know, when I think of her, I just think of like daisies and like sunshine and stuff, and like something that's like puts me at ease, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Like montage, 80s montage 101. You have to have a kick-ass song to go with a kick-ass montage. Okay, you look at the Rocky movies, Hearts on Fire and The Burning Heart. Eye of the Tiger. You know what I'm saying? Even a mediocre movie like Over the Top, which I'm assuming you've seen probably. Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone, the arm wrestling movie.
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay, well, there's a montage scene, and this movie's about arm wrestling. Okay, there's only so much excitement that you get out of this, but when you have that song in the background, Winner Takes It All, it just amps it up, and you're like, this is arm wrestling, but this is kick-ass,
Yeah, like season 1 when Head Games started, like Head Games.
Exactly.
Baby. I was just like, damn, this feels like the freaking Johnny Lawrence anthem right here. Like, I like this song. Yeah, this was up.
Facts. No, I agree. Yeah, because like when the Carrie Underwood's playing, we've got like fight scenes. So I've got it down. It was like Devin v. Tori. We've got Dimitri versus a random guy from a different dojo. Right. Miguel's against a random guy and he does like a tornado kick or just some form of stylistic kick. But then after the Carrie Underwood montage, which we've talked about, which is awful, we've then got where Hawk's going to step up against Kyler and him and Moon finally kind of get it on again.
Love that. Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. And he gets his kind of confidence back and be like, well, actually, I don't need to be Hawk. I'm actually Eli, this nerdy kid you fell in love with. Kind of.
But you seen the Hawk, like he had that walk like Hawk again. Like, that walk, that like kind of awkward walk that he has.
Yeah.
I said, oh shit, so we got Hawk back. He says, I know who I am now. And who was that? Right. The guy that's going to win this whole fucking thing. I said,
yeah, the thing is, one thing I loved about that scene is when he says all that, as you've just said, Rashad, the same song called Quiver is the same song that played when he turned back good at the end of season 3. So that's kind of like his theme song, as you were saying.
I got to rewatch like all the movies and seasons now. Like it's kind of like look at everything in a different light. That's what's up.
Honestly, that ending scene of season 3 when he turns back good, I watched that about 20 times on YouTube. Because that scene alone gives me goosebumps. And when I heard that song, I was like, he's amped. He's not to be messed with. So we also get as well. So we've got Hawk v. Kyler. We've also got where Sam versus Piper. We've got where Robbie goes full dark mode against Kenny, which was awesome. And then we've got Hawk and Miguel.
Yeah. And wait, and did you notice the look that Daniel gave Hawk when he said that? When he says, I'm the guy that's going to win this whole fucking thing. And Daniel looked at him like, what the fuck is going on with my kids?
One thing I wanted to add that felt a little weird to me. Obviously, we get some closure with this in the last episode, but the whole thing, dialing it back with Terry Silver beating up Johnny, like Kreese obviously was like, no, we don't need to do this all the way. But like when they showed the beginning of the All Valley episode, like they showed Kreese and Silver working together, it's like, wait a minute, they definitely had a disagreement in the previous episode about what should have happened. Right. I feel like there should have been some sort of conversation or even just like them working together and like Kreese being like them just sort of having some visual, like they're not on the same level thing. But obviously Terry Silver wanted to build up to what's to come. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that there should have been some more. It felt like there were scenes missing. You know what I'm saying? It just felt like, that there could have been a couple more dialogue scenes in there where we get an understanding of where these characters are at, Yeah.
See, I was going to say I agree with you guys because one thing I noticed when Justin and you guys were talking at the beginning of the stream about the Karate Kid being released on 4K,
Right.
one of the special extras that was kind of getting people to get the 4K editions was that they had never been seen, like, deleted footage. And I kind of felt like what you were saying, Rashad, is that they purposely maybe took out scenes. So when the DVD launches, people be like, oh, shit, I need to get the DVD to get to that All Valley footage or that extra kind of thing. That's what it kind of felt
could
like
be, too, but
well.
if I'm not mistaken, the only physical media licensed is seasons 1 and 2 on DVD, in America at least. I know every time, because Sony owns the Blu-ray property, even if they were to put the show out on Blu-ray, not even 4K, but they would have to pay a licensing fee. But it's Sony Pictures doing this, so like, what would be the hiccup there? And obviously you'd still have the advantage of streaming because you got it in 4K versus regular Blu-ray. Even if there was no special features, I would just want to own it physically.
Right. Yeah,
same.
Definitely.
So Rashad, what did you think of the Robbie v Kenny match, and then also Hawk and Miguel?
Hawk and Miguel was kind of a letdown because, of course, the obvious Miguel got hurt. But I guess, because this whole season, I was like, I'm not really feeling Miguel. Like, and Miguel's always been one of my favorite characters, but I just feel like he was too much into Daniel, and I think Daniel kind of made him soft a little bit. But then also he's still dealing with, with his absent father, you know what I'm saying? And then how Johnny treated him as far as like calling Robbie's name out. So yeah, the fight with Miguel and Hawk, I was like, I mean, I didn't see a winner in that, and that's how it played out. But yeah, but Robbie and Kenny, man, Robbie went full beast mode on him.
Vicious.
I felt bad for that kid, man.
Yeah.
Robbie went beast mode. I said, oh shit. Like when Kreese called him over and he says, are you fighting your friend or your opponent? And he just had that look in his eye like, I'm about to fuck this kid up.
Right.
Yeah, but then instantly regretted it, like, well, yeah, I think I shouldn't have done that, because he was going after him, but Tori stopped him, like, just let him cool off. And of course, that's when we had that scene where he beats the shit out of Anthony, which I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem was he should have hit him in the face too. It should have been body, then face.
What was the episode? Was it 7 or 8 where they had the prom scene with the like the dance fight kind of?
Oh yeah. That was 8, wasn't it?
8. Yeah,
I think out of the whole season, that was like my favorite scene, probably because like I like the dance moves. I like you saw the pool there, something was happening, but I like that you got a little bit of the confrontation, you got a little bit of the teenage fun where everyone, like, when the kids get thrown in the pool because of the fight, everyone's like, hell yeah, pool party, like they all jump in, like they kind of make light of the situation. I was just like, I was like, that's cool. But I think the choreography in there, because like obviously, like I'm sure you guys have seen martial arts films, Rashad said Bloodsport, and like, but it just in general, like we look for good fight choreography, and a lot of the times in American movies we don't get it, but it's just certain things with that scene stood out to me. I was just like, yeah, they're doing dance moves and going like this, and you think they're gonna smack the shit out of someone, but they're just dipping out of the way just in time. I was like, the flow was really nice.
It was too. Sometimes you could be too choreographed where it's like obvious, and that's one thing I never liked about Jackie Chan movies is like I didn't feel like I was watching a fight. I feel like I was watching a dance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's always been my criticism of Jackie Chan fights. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, me too. I felt like that swimming pool scene was awesome. I also felt it was kind of like a tickling your balls moment for the All Valley tournament.
Did you guys, not to get a little off subject, but did you see any of the Ip Man movies with Donnie Yen?
Yes.
So,
badass.
So, Mike, not to spoil it for you, but in the 4th movie, they're at a military base, and they're having 2 people come up to spar, and he's just like, all right, next 2 students, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Kreese, up here now. And like I was like, I was just like, was that a straight up Karate Kid reference? And I looked it up, and it was exactly what the director was going for.
Oh, wow.
Because they're on a military base, and it's taking place, I believe, in the like somewhere between the 50s or 70s, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. That's when he fought Scott Atkins at the end, right?
When he was there. But I was just like, I was like, that's definitely what they're going for, and I appreciate that.
Sure. No, same. And I'll have to check out that IP, man. Yeah, I've never seen any of them.
I think it's 4 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I think so. I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look into it, but definitely check them out.
4 movies.
Cool.
Nice.
That's a nice box set.
Yeah, they came out on 4K on sale, so yeah.
Awesome. So, Justin, what did you think of the Robbie v. Kenny and the Hawk and Miguel?
Well, I think like Miguel kind of is just like I'm very much so like sometimes if you do something the same exact way, it feels like poetry and it works. Other times it kind of feels like force because you've seen Danielson like mess himself up at the end of the first movie, right? Like he had that issue where he had to stand on one leg, and then obviously it's not canon because they've already confirmed it with a reference. But Jaden Smith's Karate Kid movie, even the same thing, they had to do the Chinese cupping method and stuff. So it kind of just felt like a rehash of that. Right. But like the thing with his spine getting messed up, though, like I liked that aspect. Yeah. But the fact that it happened like right at the exact moment where he needed to be the champ, it was a little weird. The whole reason, though, like him leaving, like I like that. Don't get me wrong. I just think that they should have picked a different time for that to happen. Like maybe while he was training, people were like he screwed up and people were worried about him. And then even when it came time, I don't know. But the thing with Kenny, regardless of if I loved Kenny or hated him, he was just like a meh character. But at the end of the day, after thinking about this, because I was like, you could have taken out the whole Anthony and Kenny thing and threw it out the door. But you had, what's his name? Tana Buchanan's character. I just had a brain fart.
Robbie,
yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Robbie hesitated because he saw him on the sidelines for a second. And then, later, his payoff at the end of the episode with that conversation with Johnny, we'll talk about in a little bit. But like, I think in that moment, finally thinking about it overnight, I was just like, you know what, Kenny did actually have some purpose in this season to the main plot, not like the side plot or whatever's in the background, but like to actual full plot. So I appreciated that the more I thought about it.
Yeah. And then you see like his turn, like his heel turn when he grabbed Anthony by the face, and he's like, "Yeah, when high school starts, get ready for like a lot of pain." And like the look in his eye, I said, "Oh, this kid is he did a whole switch." I wonder what Big Brother Sean gonna think about that, man.
Yeah, I really like that as well because like when you guys talk about that, actually leads into the last episode because that is when Anthony and obviously gets beaten up by Kenny. And Kenny's like, we'll wait for high school, which was awesome. So there's quite a lot to talk about in this episode.
I'm ready for it. I've been waiting an hour and 51 minutes for it.
I know. So in this episode, we started off with Stingray in hospital. We see the kind of aftermath of Terry Silver in the damage of him. We also get Dimitri v. Robbie, and then we eventually get the final, which is Robbie v. Hawk, which we're going to get to. So, I'm just going to chuck this out the window. So, basically, one thing I wanted to mention about the All Valley tournament is I felt like, for most part, this was definitely the best All Valley tournament we've ever had in Karate Kid movies, season 1. And now, like, the final fight for me, I was like, Hawk, fucking kick his ass and rip him a new one. And, I love the fact that for me, one thing I noticed is, like, throughout this whole season, we're like, right, well, whoever wins, the other dojos have got to leave the valley. So when they announced straight away, being like, right, well, it's the ultimate winner of the men's tournament and the women's tournament, and then the skills competition, which I wasn't a fan of the skills competition. They could have just threw that out the window and just give us more longer fights of Dimitri fighting a random person.
Yeah, so like some kids pulled off the skills competition, like Robbie was like, like that was cool. But you had Dimitri going just like. I was just like, all right, bro. Like there's some people who can sell shit, other people think.
Yeah. I agree, but I think for me, Hawk v. Robbie final was amazing. It was paid off so well.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Man, that was easily the best fight of any Karate Kid movie, any episode of Cobra Kai. That was a fucking fight. Because first of all, I wasn't even expecting Hawk. I think, Mike, we talked about this. I was always predicting, this is before the whole, they separated the boys and the girls. I thought it was going to be Robbie and Sam in the final. So Hawk was not even like a thought, like Hawk in the final. Like he's a good fighter, but he's always been like, kind of lower to mid tier. As compared to Robbie, because Robbie always had Hawk's number. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, there's no way that Hawk can even, especially Robbie being better now. There's no way that Hawk can hang with him. And you talk about like some underdog type shit that was so believable and so well choreographed. I'm just like, I was standing up. I was like cheering. Like, I'm even like doing this shit. Like, come on, man, bob and weave, man, move, best fight ever. Like at the end, I was like, oh shit.
That'd be like Robbie and Miguel.
Yeah, that was a fight.
Same. Justin, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I definitely think the Hawk fight was great. Like, obviously, like, I even felt this, like, once you saw Robbie chilling there and then his gi, not to reveal too much, but his gi, like, this held flat open and, like, you seen it just, like, no ties at the end. I was like, yo, that shit's coming off. It's coming off. They're going to have that kind of fight. And, like, right away, Hawk rips his shit off and he's just like that. Like, he's ready. He don't need no more attachments. Like, they're both just going to go in. And I appreciate the fact that, like, both Tanner Buchanan and every once in a while I have a brain fart. Jacob Bertrand. Like, you can appreciate these dudes actually did, like, work out a little bit and get certain fit. Because Jacob Bertrand's a slim dude, but you could tell, like, he had muscle and shit like
ripped.
that on.
He was ripped.
I was like, all right, good for him. Because, like, I was skinny in high school. I didn't have any muscle on me. And now, like, as of now, I got a tiny bit of muscle on me, but it's a tiny bit of fat, too. So, like, it's like it counteracts one another. Like,
yeah.
And I also like that moment, too, where you know, they Kreese and Terry called it a timeout. And Terry was like, you're showing him respect? Like, this fight should have been over with. And Robbie was like, do you want to fight him? And looked like Terry was about to, like, jump in his crap, and Kreese was like,
yeah, I love that as well, and I think that was I thought that was like really interesting because as you mentioned, like Toe Silver was like who am I dealing with here? Like, this kid's not going to respect me or listen to what I say.
Right.
No, I really love that. So we've talked about the awesome fight of the All Valley. Oh, there's another great fight we've got to talk about, but before we get to that, I've got to say that this was probably one of the stupidest moments in the season when Amanda tells Tori, don't hurt my daughter in a karate fight. That made no sense.
Yeah. You know what? I could almost forgive the whole coming to her job thing because, okay, I get it. You're a mom protecting your cub, but to step to her and say, okay, if you want to return the favor, don't hurt my daughter. But at the same time says, now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to root for my daughter. So you're rooting for your daughter to win, but you're telling her not to hurt her.
Right.
Amanda, no, baby. What's wrong with you? You LaRussos are rotten to the core.
It just made no sense. It's a karate match. And plus, the history that they have had since season 2 up to that point, and the birthday party humiliating Tori and the birthday party, and then getting payback and Sam.
Because let's be real. Let's be real. In that scene, we all thought Tori was going to be at a strip club. We're not going to lie.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought so too. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so like I think as a whole, for me, it kind of worked just because she was like, yeah, don't pull some cheap tricks and shit like that, and like try to break my daughter's leg, because I guess they were trying to build towards some sort of arc with Tori and LaRusso's mom, and she was like, yeah, just don't hurt her. But I think without that conversation, though, maybe she wouldn't have taken that second glance at the Cobra Kai 1. Like, I think that scene where she's walking in the hallway, that I'm sure we'll elaborate on a little bit.
Yeah. I think that scene wouldn't maybe have happened if the conversation, because like Tori at the end of the match, she's just like, oh my God, I'm so like, are you okay? Like, I think that maybe gave her a little bit more heart, but like, I can definitely see where you guys are coming from. I wasn't too bothered by it, but. Well, now, and I will also think that affected her fight, because I feel like she really held back. You know what I'm saying? I feel like she really, so even though it worked in her favor still, because of course the ref was paid off, but I feel like she didn't go all out like she wanted to, just because in the back of her mind, it's like, okay, I owe Mrs. LaRusso, I'm not going to hurt this girl. But at the same time, Sam is fighting really aggressive. And she told the sensei that, like, okay, that's not Miyagi though. Like, she's fighting aggressive. Like, you be even more aggressive. Like, even Amanda was like, is that my daughter? The same person that said, don't hurt my daughter, but now you're seeing, damn, my daughter's kind of she's kind of aggressive here. So I feel that affected Tori. I think Tori would have fought a lot better had Amanda not did that.
Yeah.
Which means now we need a proper rematch, to settle once and for all who's the better fighter between Tori and Sam.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like woulda, shoulda, coulda, and I think the whole aspect, as we were talking about who's better, Johnny or Danielson. Like I think there's a lot of characters we get in this season where they're not really trying to show you who's better who's worse. I don't think they're trying to shed someone in that light either way. Even with Dimitri, like they were saying, Dimitri wasn't shit against Robbie, but like they did show him beating someone else, and they did show that like even in that last point match between Robbie and Dimitri, that like Dimitri was still like holding his own for a little bit. Even though, like, I mean, I personally, I think he's a bitch, but like, whatever. But like at least like he lost, but he lost knowing that like, no, like this was someone who he feared, and on any given day he would have got wrecked by, but he lasted a good amount in that match.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like in the future, like when Dimitri has more fights and he finally like wins and maybe gets to the top of the mountain, it'll be justified because he's gone through so many losses and been an absolute wimp to the point where he had a bit more confidence beating Hawk up. Then now he's like kind of stood his own a little bit in the All Valley. Yeah, no, I agree. What do you guys think of the storyline part with the fight where the ref was bought off by Silver?
I hated that. I mean, I get it. Like it had to happen, and I'm pretty sure he probably did the same thing in 3. You know,
right?
We try to pay the ref off, but it just didn't work in his favor. So. Yeah, it was definitely a Terry move, and I felt for Tori because she was so happy to win that trophy. Like it meant everything to her to be a champion, and so to see that, I know she like second guesses herself, like, well, I really wasn't the best because like my sensei paid the ref off, so I'm pretty sure that fucked with her head. And then I have a feeling she's gonna, of course she's gonna rat and tell, and probably even give the trophy to Sam, like, look, this is yours because I didn't earn this. My sensei paid off the referee, so this is really your trophy. Right. I could kind of see that happening, but yeah, Terry Silver is such a fucking snake, but I love him though. He's such a great villain.
I think it's kind of like the Professor Umbridge Harry Potter thing. Like you hate the character, she's 100% a bitch, and like no one likes her, but that means she did a good job. Right. Like Terry, the whole thing with Terry sneaking behind someone's back, and is just like, how many times do people watch a football game or a boxing match and be like, bro, the refs were paid off, bro? Floyd Mayweather and whatchamacallit, Jake Paul or whatever, like he was just hanging on him. Like he wanted both of us to just go to the end. Like even Mike Tyson said, like, you're not watching fights anymore, you're watching money fights.
Right.
Like it's all about who has the bigger wallet and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But do you guys not think that maybe Terry Moment at that point had a moment of Karate Kid 3 where, all that film he's chasing, Daniel and Miyagi, and then in the season you realise, well, look, that was a bit dumb doing that for that full time. But then in this season, by paying off the ref, he's possibly lost Tori as a student, one of his best fighters. Then also Robbie is also now on the fence of being in Cobra Kai because of the whole moment he has with Johnny at the end and says, well, look, all this hate, it's kind of gone off. So in a sense, with Terry doing all this, he's lost 2 of his best students in Cobra Kai.
You make a good point because, like, yeah, that like obviously Tori and Robbie are then champs, but I think at the same time, like when Kreese and Silver had that sparring match, I think maybe Silver is thinking more of a group aspect than specific students as like alphas and stuff because like the team's gotten bigger. He's gotten like he knows Kenny is his new like conduit or however you would say that. Like he knows Kenny is his new like vessel to channel everything into Cobra Kai. Like that's all that hate, that's all that anger. Like Kenny's going to be that new shit next season. Not going to lie. Like I'm sure he's probably going to work out more and going to look a little bit older. But I think he definitely overlooked that. And as you were saying, Mike, it's going to be a mistake next season. Like that's going to be a moment where it's going to come to bite him in the ass. But we'll see.
Right.
Yeah. Well, not only is that going to bite him in the ass, but then the whole Stingray thing and ratting on Kreese, that's going to come back to bite him in the ass too.
Yo, I wasn't expecting that. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what did you guys think of? So after, obviously, for anyone that's watching as well, is after the All Valley tournament, of course, Cobra Kai wins. We then have like a reunion with Silver and Kreese in the backyard, and it turns out that Stingray has ratted on Kreese and that he was the one who beat him up instead of Silver because he'd do anything for Cobra Kai. I love that scene, and it was definitely unexpected, but I kind of felt as if I was watching like a CW show. And that police scene was happening when he's getting taken away. It didn't really feel like natural. Like there was like 10 police cars to arrest one man. I was like, I know he knows karate, but come on.
Yeah, he even got a good shot on one of the cops too.
Did Kreese have priors? Not to interrupt you, Rashad. Do you remember Kreese having any priors before? You know?
Don't think
Not
so.
That I know of. Not that I know of.
Because remember, he got a restraining order against Amanda, didn't he? So
yeah. So I guess it could go both ways. Maybe they saw him in the spotlight because he had the restraining order, and then like maybe stuff from when he was like younger and he's beating on Johnny Lawrence in the parking lot. Maybe someone said something. Who knows? But go ahead, Rashad. My fault.
Yeah. What the hell was I gonna say? Damn, I'm getting old. What the hell was I talking about?
We were talking about Kreese landing a hit on one of the police officers and like the overabundance of officers sent just for one guy.
Yeah, I mean, they had to, for dramatic effect, they had to make it more dramatic. This guy just literally turned on his best friend that he's known for 50 years, so it was necessary. It was because it's like for years I've been under your mind control, even though I'm the smarter guy, I'm the business mogul. But the only thing you ever had over my head is the fact that you saved me in Vietnam. Like, that's all you have over me. Yeah. It's like, I got to cut that shit loose. And that's what he did. So I even like that whole little thing he did where he was like,
yeah. That scene was dope though. Like I thought originally they were coming for Silver. It's a good hook. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh shoot, they finally got him. But no, Silver is, since he's got all that money, something that Kreese doesn't have. He does have that advantage. So he's in the pocket of the police officers and stuff. He's going to be spreading across the valley now. And as me and Mike were saying, when I was talking to Peyton List, she was saying how that strip in Georgia got bought out with the Cobra Kai dojo. Because at first I didn't know if it was for season 4, but you saw like one stock footage shot, and I think there was another shot when I forget if it was Sam or someone else walking, like a side view they had. But you could tell that they were there. But like even when they went to the convenience store, like the convenience store in season 4 with Terry Silver and Danielson in there looked way different than the first season. So you could tell like maybe they were in the midst of selling and stuff like that. Right. But it makes sense now that they were selling the dojo at the end of this season. Now that like I said, Peyton List had said like they sold the strip mall in real life too. So like I can see that.
Yeah, and I think they also teased Mike Barnes because if you remember, Terry said, "Don't worry, I'll find like how do you say?" He said, "I'll find a replacement or somebody that can help me with Cobra Kai while you're gone." And the only person I could think of is Mike Barnes because remember they made that deal in 3 where if Barnes would have beat Daniel, he would I guess would own 50% of the dojos, or whatever. When Kreese opened, no, not Kreese, but
Now, can you guys refresh my memory who that is? Was that like Terry Silver's like understudy kind of in the 3rd movie? I think I vaguely remember something.
Yeah, he was the guy. He recruited Mike to beat Daniel in the tournament, so he had to go get the best of the best to ensure that he wins. So Mike made a deal with him, like, okay, if you want me to beat this LaRusso kid, I want 50% of your dojos. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he was like, do you negotiate as well as you fight? Yeah. All right, well, got a deal.
Yeah, so I think there could be a tease for Mike Barnes, and I think that would probably make the most logical sense in terms of bringing back the old characters for a purpose.
Because the only other Cobra Kai that we haven't seen is Dutch, and of course Chad McQueen. He doesn't act anymore, so Mike Barnes is the obvious choice.
I don't think they'd bring Dutch back. I think like now, not at the moment. I think Mike Barnes would be the most probable. Yeah. If anything. So we're talking about Terry Silver and Kreese. So I think we all expected it was a bit of a surprise having Kreese being arrested, which was really cool turn. What do you guys think of the whole storyline of now Miguel's going to go to Mexico and Johnny's going to go chase after him to try and find his dad? Justin, we'll start with you.
I like at first, like I was saying, there was a few plot points after I finished it last night I was kind of bitter about. I was like, it seems like they originally were going to only make the show 4 seasons, and now that they're given more money by Netflix, so Netflix like, hey, make more of these. So they kind of like wrote in something else that wasn't terrible, but it felt like just like a next best thing kind of plot arc. But like him going to Mexico to meet up with his dad, which is weird because I guess Miguel has his passport. I don't know. But so I think with that being said, like it's important to Miguel to figure out how he can be the most badass fighter because maybe he took a backseat in this season to step it up the next.
Right.
But I mean, maybe Miguel bringing some culture back and stuff. Obviously, you have hilarious scenes where Johnny Lawrence is like pouring out the Walmart mango salsa or whatever, like trying to show them authentic shit. But I don't know. Maybe he'll switch from maybe Johnny Lawrence in the next season will switch from Coors Banquet to Modelo or something. I don't know.
I think definitely. I think most of season 5 is going to be Miguel and Johnny in Mexico. So they're going to intercut between that and the stuff that's going on in the Valley. You know what I'm saying? So we're not going to see probably Johnny and Daniel even interact next season because it's going to be this whole subplot about him and Miguel finding his father.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, do you guys think it's gonna be a little bit like season 3 when Daniel goes to Okinawa, which spanned like maybe 3 or 4 episodes that he was there? I personally think it's gonna maybe be like that, and then something's gonna happen where Johnny and Miguel get back, but something's kicked off in the Valley.
I can see that. Yeah, like the first third or half of it is gonna have something. Like I think,
because I'm just thinking 10 episodes.
I think what it's going to happen is kind of like Miguel's mom was hinting at. Obviously, like we've been talking about a lot of women in the show that like Miguel's mom can get it too, but she was saying the fact that like the dad ain't shit. Like Miguel is not even a thought in the dad's mind. Like he doesn't know Miguel exists.
Right.
But I'm thinking the dad will be wrapped up in some bad shit. Miguel will try to cling on to him. And maybe by episode 2 or 3, like he's at the lowest because the dad like refuses to acknowledge him, refuses to take him in, refuses to do anything. And then Johnny arrives in Mexico. You might even get a hilarious like applying for passport montage with Johnny because like what the hell would Johnny Lawrence want to go to another country for? That'd be his mindset.
Right.
But then you think like, damn, what about Robbie? Because Robbie and Johnny just had that heartfelt moment. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Where they just reconnected, and now you leave for Mexico for Miguel. So again, so could this be another one of Johnny's fuck ups? Then Robbie hits him with the, Dad, we had one good day, and where the hell have you been since? You're a loser, and I hate you.
It's more drama for drama's sake, and at the end of the day, like obviously it's a lot of shows I've seen out there, but with this season specifically, I think that there was more drama than there needed to be at times. Like there was more like, obviously you have Johnny and Daniel working towards learning each other's moves, didn't work out, they stopped. I think maybe they could have gotten to that point differently, but like it's like, oh, they're going to do this. But they didn't. This one thing happened because they misunderstood one another, but it goes back to this point. Then it's so much back and forth that it kind of makes me feel exhausted a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. No, yeah, I agree. So one thing I want to ask you guys kind of before we wrap this up, because I appreciate we've been gone for quite a while.
I'm fine with it.
Awesome. Well, one thing I wanted to ask, so someone's left a comment here. Cobra Kai said, Cobra Kai season 5, now I don't know if this is true, but they've said will be released in early June/July. So I do know it's finished filming, and probably right now they're probably like post-production and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, effects, marketing, all that good stuff.
But what do you guys would like to see, and what do you think is going to happen in season 5? Because at the end of this, of course, Daniel goes to Miyagi's gravestone, which was awesome, and I would have liked to have gone maybe at the beginning of the season and be like, look, you wouldn't believe Miyagi, but I actually teamed up with Johnny Lawrence, the enemy. I would have liked to have maybe just told Miyagi, well, look, I've actually teamed up with him. Can you please give us some guidance, kind of thing. But of course, we see Chosen at the gravestone also. But one other thing as well that I want to bring into account is there's an episode, I think it's 7, where Anthony's going through the Miyagi door and he sees, I think, that scroll that Chosen gave Daniel in season 3, which I said in a video I did in January 2020, where I felt like that scroll was going to be like a killer move to win the Valley tournament. But obviously not, but the teaser being like, Daniel was teasing saying like, you don't want to know that move, and that is for extreme circumstances. So yeah, Rashad, we'll start with you, man. So what would you like to see, or what do you think is going to happen in season 5?
It's really hard to predict this time, you know what I'm saying? Because it was cool to see Chosen there, but will Chosen and Daniel have the same chemistry as Daniel and Johnny does? Because part of the appeal of the show is Johnny and Daniel's total opposite philosophies and everything, and how they constantly clash, and that's where a lot of the comedy comes in. Or is Daniel and Chosen going to have that same kind of chemistry? You know what I'm saying, where it keeps you engaged and interested. Honestly, I don't know what to expect. I just know that Silver is on the warpath. He's trying to franchise Cobra Kai like McDonald's. So interested to see how that plays out. And of course, I think Mike Barnes is going to be the big surprise. But yeah, it's really hard to predict what's going to come up, man. You know, I mean, I was somewhat accurate in some of my predictions for this season, but next season I have no idea. I have no idea.
Right.
I don't even know what I want to see. Well, I do want to see a rematch with Tori and Sam to determine once and for all. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Who the victor will be in that?
Same, yeah. So Justin, what about you, man? What do you think is going to happen, or what would you like to see?
So, I'm a little iffy on the ending because, as I've said, this is my least favorite season so far. It's still a good and solid season and very entertaining. But if I had to pick out of all of them, I wouldn't pick this season. I think there was a lot of plot arcs that I think could have been trimmed out and just approached differently to kind of save some time and give some time to other plot elements, like we were saying with Hawk developing a desire to go back to Miyagi-Do. But I think you guys might think differently because I haven't watched this movie recently, but I think it would have been a little bit more powerful of a scene if the camera panned when Daniel was at that grave to show Hillary Swank standing in the background, how did you know him or something like that. Like I said, it's been a while. I don't know if continuity for Cobra Kai has conflicted with Karate Kid 3 and 4 at all as continuity with this show. But I think it would be a neat thing. How did you know him? Because I don't think Daniel or Hillary Swank's character did they hear about each other at all? I can't remember.
So in Karate Kid 3, sorry, not the next Karate Kid, sorry. Miyagi mentions and references Daniel twice in that movie.
Okay.
I don't know if he says it by Daniel or he just says oh, there was a boy student I used to teach. So Hillary Swank's character knows that Miyagi had a boy student.
Other students, yeah.
But Daniel, I don't know if Daniel at any point knows that he had a female student or not. Okay. So I agree with you. I would have liked to have seen Hillary Swank stood there.
Yeah, I thought originally maybe you would have an aspect to where obviously it gets more and more cheesy the more I think about it, but you could have an aspect to where Hillary Swank ends up wanting to start her own dojo, her having Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso there as well, and they're not in the respected dojos anymore. They're not Miyagi-Do or Eagle Fang. There's some new thing that Hillary Swank came up with, but then again, it's maybe that's later on. Maybe originally they were only going to plan the show for 4 or 5 seasons, and now it's extended to 6 with some spin-offs happening because the brand's gotten so big. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, Rashad, I was going to ask you, man, because obviously I know you've seen the next Karate Kid, and we recently talked about this on Perez's channel as well. So maybe we can talk about this with Justin. So with Hillary Swank, there was an interview not long ago that Ralph Ratcher and William Zabka did maybe about a week ago, and they said that the next Karate Kid is in the canon of the same universe, but the Jackie Chan one isn't.
Yeah, because they did reference Will Smith in I think season 2 or 3. They made him Will Smith reference, right?
I don't remember that. I think he's executive producer in the series anyway.
Yeah, we would have to go back and I'll message y'all, but I think in 2 or 3 they made some sort of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Will Smith reference. So it's that's not in the same universe. It seems.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, sure, I didn't know, but yeah, Rashad, so with Hillary Swank, how would you like to see her return into this Cobra Kai?
I don't know because I wasn't crazy about her character, the next Karate Kid. Yeah, she was not likable at all in that movie. I mean, at the end, she kind of had to turn around, but she was just not a very likable character. So I don't know. I mean, it would be cool to see her and Daniel probably have 1 or 2 interactions. Oh shit, Miyagi taught you. Oh, Miyagi taught you too, huh? They maybe do a little karate together or something. But that's it. Other than that, her character would really serve no purpose.
So one thing I would maybe like to see her in, and I get where you're coming from. I think it'd be tough to kind of blend her in as such. But at the end of this season, Sam is kind of conflicted because she's learned Johnny's teaching and she likes those teachings. She's like, well, look, we can't just stay at defense. And then at the same time, she's like, well, she wants to be with her dad. So I don't know if she's maybe going to go a little bit Hillary Swankish, a bit off the rails before kind of getting tamed. I think it'd be pretty cool to maybe see maybe she goes to Miyagi's grave for guidance. And then maybe sees Hillary Swank's character there. And he's like, well, how do you know Miyagi?
Yeah.
And then she could then take her, Hillary Swank over to Daniel and be like, look, you'll never guess who I've met. And she actually knows Miyagi. I think that could maybe be a cool idea.
You guys were saying that through like references and stuff in the first season or two of this show that Daniel-san was referenced to go back to training with Miyagi over the years before he passed, right? Was that hinted at or no? Or was it like after Karate Kid 3, like Daniel was done?
Yeah. After 3, that was the end of Daniel and Miyagi until Cobra Kai.
Okay, I didn't know. If
that was the end.
Trying to remember if there was any interactions or talks between Miyagi and Daniel.
No, after 3, that was after 3. The studio pulled the plug and said we're never going to see Daniel and Miyagi again, unless it's a memory. But in Cobra Kai they do say that Miyagi was with him up until he died. You know, so he taught him. He taught him even more. You know what I'm saying? So Daniel, that's why I was saying, that's why Johnny shouldn't be able to beat Daniel because Miyagi pretty much taught him everything, well, almost everything. Chosen showed us that, there's stuff that your sensei didn't teach you. And that's why I said I don't think because Hilary Swank would really add nothing to, because her and Daniel pretty much learned the same thing from Miyagi. But Chosen comes with a different style of Miyagi-Do that Miyagi kept from Daniel for whatever reason. So Chosen pretty much elevates Miyagi-Do karate, whereas the Hilary Swank character, Julie, what's her name? I think her name was Julie. Yeah,
Julie,
yeah.
But at the same time, what's pretty interesting is in the next Karate Kid, when Hilary Swank's character Julie's having that fight at the end scene, like at the docks and stuff like that, her and Miyagi walk off, but we still don't know if maybe after that point Miyagi did more training with her, and maybe because like for a question for you guys, kind of last question, and we'll wrap this up, is what do you guys think that move is that's on the scroll?
Ooh, I don't know, because that paralysis thing is a motherfucker, man. So
if it's worse than that, if Daniel is okay using that paralysis on Johnny in the ring, but he's not okay with using whatever's on that scroll, that's got to be some sort of like body blow or some shit like that. I don't know.
Well, remember in season 1, Daniel taught Robbie the highest kick in Miyagi-Do, like the most advanced kick in Miyagi-Do, which is when he stands on one hand, he kicks out or whatever. Yeah. So there's something that's even beyond that. I have no idea what that can be, because you got the crane, you got the one hand kick, and then the paralysis. I don't know, man. Maybe the death touch. You just touch in a certain place and you just die. Yeah.
Well, it could be.
I like Bloodsport. If you ever watch Bloodsport, there's a movie where Van Damme does, which they show on the show, where he just hits the guy in the stomach and takes all his breath out of him.
Oh wow!
Yeah. That would be interesting. I mean, with the whole franchise thing, that could go either direction, also. But I think it was a little bit of a cop out where Daniel's just like, oh yeah, well we had this agreement where we would never do Karate in the Valley again, but I'm not going to let that happen. But I was just like, that's where I feel like maybe they had a little bit of a different plot arc to go towards. But once they decide to extend it, or maybe that was the plan all along, who knows? But once that was the talk, then they kind of switched the plot arc. It doesn't sound bad. It just doesn't sound as believable.
No, I agree with you, because the thing is, it kind of makes the end of season 3 redundant, because they're like, oh, well, whichever dojo loses, we're going to be out the valley. Fair enough if they mentioned in the season, being like, well, look, whichever dojo's bottom of the scoreboard leaves the valley, like Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do or Cobra Kai. Right. But Cobra Kai still win this tournament ultimately, and Daniel's like, nah, deals out the window.
we don't even know. Season 5, episode 1 could be them finding out Terry cheated, and that's the reason why Daniel's motivated more to come back. Who knows?
Right.
They like it, yeah. Well, guys, I mean, we've been going for 2 hours and 20 minutes or so plus. So honestly, firstly, just thank you so much for sparing your time to talk about this, and I think we broke it down pretty good. Just before we sign off, have you guys got anything else to add about Cobra Kai season 4 you just want to throw in?
Not that I know of. I mean, I still, like I said, I still got to play past the first level in this game. I like the second I played, I was like, this is fun. I want to play with my friends though. So I got to get them side to side on my couch and play through that. But season 4, it was still good. It still has me excited. It's a setup season at the end of the day. We got a lot of things we loved. Some things that just didn't work for me personally, but it still doesn't put me off and being like, I guess they'll just salvage what they have left for next season. But no, I'm excited for the next season either way. And maybe your buddy in the comments, June, July, maybe that's true. Who knows? But
I hope so.
I would think they would release, because Stranger Things is confirmed for a summer release. When that is, don't know, but I would assume they would want it to be at least a month apart from Stranger Things to not have some taken away from one another.
I've given up on Stranger Things because they've been teasing us for I don't know how long, and season 4 is coming on this day, season 4 is coming on that day. I said, you know what, fuck it, I don't care no more. But this season, Justin, I gotta agree. I don't think this was the strongest season, but yet still good enough to where I can rewatch it again. I will rewatch it again.
Yeah, definitely.
And there were like a lot of just really great moments, but just as a season as a whole, I don't think it flowed as well as the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So well, with that being said, that's why I gave it a B+ in my review, but still dug it though. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that's where I am with that.
No, I agree, and I think all of us kind of agree in general. Like, it was a great season overall, but maybe not the best season, and could have been fleshed out a lot more. And definitely some deleted scenes in there. I think they're going to put on the DVD release at some point.
Right.
But yeah, guys, again, just thank you so much for joining me. For anyone who's watching it after the fact, if you haven't subscribed to JJ Lomas or Justin's channel, the link is below in the description box, and also with Rashad G as well. If you're not subscribed to Rashad, definitely check out his link in the description box and give those guys some love. Justin, Rashad, thank you so much for just taking the time to join me. And we'll see you guys later.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Take care, everyone.
Peace.